everyone. How we doing? How we doing? If you can't tell, I have a guest tonight. This is Sully. He's got a channel, The Gun Club on Rumble, and also Real Hard Truths. I forgot to put the second channel in the description, but I will make sure to go back and fix that later.
That worked.
But he's going to be talking with me today. We do have some topics today. It's been an interesting week, y'all. It's been an interesting week. I was going through and trying to kind of figure out exactly what I wanted to talk about today. And I just kept, I've got my little, I've shown you guys before. This is my super high-tech official, show prep that I do. I got a little notepad. There you go. Great minds think alike. But, I just kept writing stuff and I had to stop myself. And I'm like, I think this is probably indicative that I need to go ahead and start my second weekly stream on maybe Sundays or something like that. Sundays or maybe Saturday evenings. I don't know. But that is coming. I don't know if it's going to be this week. Last week, I almost did it, but people seem to be liking the show. So again, well, I guess first of all, hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the Dozer Den. This is episode 23. Hope y'all are doing well. What's up, Yanni Fangs? First one in the chat that I'm seeing, at least on the Rumble Studio. Might as well go ahead and check the app, just so I'm not missing a bunch of stuff, which I probably am, but that's okay. I'll narrate my way through it like a boomer. That's all right. What's up, Slyant? Hope y'all are well. And I see that we were rated by Common Sensor. Thank you, Sterling. I appreciate you, sir. Awesome show, by the way. If you're not following Common Censored on Rumble, go ahead and do so. They have a weekly show, 6:45 Eastern, 5:45 Central, for about 3 hours. They talk about a lot of the same stuff that I do. His production value is a little bit more impressive, not gonna lie, but Lord Sterling does a great job. Great show tonight. I do appreciate the raid, good sir. What's up, Cool Frog? Nice to see you, bud. Man, with your new schedule, man, I got bone to pick with you, Cool Frog. I like to hang out with you on streams every now and then. Your new schedule kind of almost puts me out of the mix, man. But no, I'm joking. I'm glad for you, Cool Frog. I'm glad you got yourself a position that's working for you. You're working and getting some stuff done. So I do miss having at least the option, but all good, man. You got to do you.
I think a lot of your kids are piling in here. It looks like got about 20 going so far.
There we go. Good deal. Welcome, all my little Komatsus and Killdozers, to the Dozer Den. If you haven't liked this stream yet, smash that like button. Participate in the live chat if you want, but if you don't, if you're a lurker, you know what? I love my lurkers. My lurkers are awesome people. Thank you so much for watching the show. If you're not watching live, I appreciate you as well. Ooh, 3 a.m. Okay, so, oh gosh, 12 hours. My gosh, Cool Frog, you are a beast, sir. Says Cool Frog will be, let me see what this will do here. There we go. So, Cool Frog, he'll be live from around 3 a.m. and go for about 12 hours. Good Lord, sir. Chadley of you. Chadley indeed. We have Tulip McGroin. I love your username, by the way. Tulip McGroin. As Sterling says, it's my favorite type of groin there. Tulip.
Always nice when the McGroin Amish stops by.
Yes, McGroin Nation. I tried to look and see if the live was going on Rumble, but I didn't see it going live today. I guess it's been a little bit sporadic at times. I saw it had gone for the last two have gone for 11 hours or so, and then it cuts off. So, but I've been forgetting to post there, but hopefully I got it all. Got to all the people that I need to. And that's 3 for Cool Frog. That is 3 Mountain Standard Time. Oh, guys. Like I said earlier, a minute ago, I was trying to line things out for this stream. It's just, there's so much that's been going on. And tonight, I know I say this every stream. It's becoming a habit. I'm not going for 3 hours tonight. All right. We're going to keep it to about 2 hours. I'm tired. All right, y'all. I'm tired, y'all. Boss, I'm tired. But gotta wrap it up around 2, maybe 2 hours and 15 to 2:30, something like that. Yeah, my the lady dozer is also somewhat sleepy. She's got up early with the boy, so he's a rolling. The mini dozer, he is a rolling. But anyways, real quick, before I kind of get into the appetizers to discuss the topics, Sully, why don't you go ahead and tell people like what your show is, like what kind of things that you do with your two?
Well, I run 2 channels. First one is the gun club. As you might guess, it's a lot of firearm stuff. I get into some of the 2A laws, some of the 2A stuff going on, different court cases, do some firearm reviews, do basic info on different guns, little minor training things, trying to basically give people a chance to learn more about the 2A community as a whole. Very low stress. It's not super high tech. I'm not doing ballistic charts or anything else. We're not out with chronos doing stuff, but I'm willing to say, hey, look, here's a gun that came out that's reasonably priced for anyone to get for a first gun or a self-defense weapon. Here's some training drills you can do, stuff like that. The second channel is Real Hard Truths, where it's Rumble exclusive. The first one I do back and forth, and I put the safe stuff on YouTube. The second one is Rumble exclusive because, well, I speak the truth, and I firmly believe in, look, this is what's going on. I try to do a little bit of a deep dive because, unfortunately, so many people out there get a 5-second clip of the news or a 10-minute clip of the news, and they hear this. Case in point, the night you were on, that we debunked the whole Project 2025 and instead read through Agenda 47. And like, look, this is the truth. Like it, hate it, whatever. But, well, let's not lie about it. And so I've just rather come out with the truth as opposed to stupid stuff.
There you go. There you go. Sounds great, man. Sounds great. I haven't been catching as many of your shows as I wanted to, but I popped in the other day when I was doing some DoorDash and I was listening. So, oh yeah, I saw that, Lord Sterling. I saw that they suspended the dock workers have suspended the strike inconveniently until January 15th or 16th. Interesting timing there, isn't it? But yeah, they probably felt the backlash just a little bit. Yeah. What's up,
Well,
Donna?
I can guarantee you they were putting the Kami Lama in a real rock and a hard place situation, because after their union president comes out and screams, "I will cripple you," and then she backs him.
Yeah,
that
was a bit of a rough sell. That guy came across as a pure asshole. I'm for people trying to negotiate for a better working condition for sure. And the fight against automation is real. We got to be realistic about it, though. I mean, things are just going to get a little bit more automated as technology increases. It's how the world works. I get fighting against that. And if it was just for that, if it had been just for that, I'd have been probably pretty much on board with him. Didn't like the way he talked. But when I saw that they were looking for a 77% increase in wages over the next 6 years, I believe, instead of the 50% that they had already negotiated over the next 5, at that point, y'all can go fuck yourselves. I don't care anymore. You're just greedy bastards. You're already making $140,000 a year or something like that. I'm sorry for the peons here in the middle of the country that aren't making anywhere close to that. The fact that you were going to say that we're going to cripple the country because you want 77%, almost a whole extra salary over the next 6 years. Yeah, you know what? No, I'm not on board with that. You guys can go hang out in the ocean. But
all I'm going to say is I'm a paramedic. We got a 2% cost of living this year, and we were happy about it.
Yes.
And the county went ahead and also covered not only the 2%, but also our increase in our medical insurance. They covered that plus our 2%. So,
yeah. What's up, Dashboard Nomad? I think I've seen you once or twice in the chat before. Hey there, Donna. Can't stay long. Thank you for stopping by. If you're just stopping by for a brief few minutes, don't forget to smash that like button, comment in the comments section, follow the channel. If you have not followed Bill Dozer 74 here, we are at 384 followers. We are 16 away, guys. We're 16 followers away from me doing my next placeholder video where I do something silly, okay? I think it's going to be 400 or maybe 420. I don't know yet. I'm conflicted. If I can find an interesting theme for 400 followers, I will do something for 400 because I feel like that's a good milestone. So, but I appreciate everybody who is watching tonight. Hopefully you get a little bit of information and entertainment out of this, infotainment, as some might say. That is the goal of this channel. That is the goal of the Dozer Den. if you're here, hopefully I can help inform you a little bit. Hopefully I can do it in an entertaining way. Guys, I was having a conversation at work today. There's a lot of dark stuff going on in the world. There is. And you know what? If I can make a shit sandwich just a little bit more palatable, well, I've done something. So that's kind of the goal here.
So you're
I'm gonna
saying
have,
you're the cheese on the shit sandwich.
yeah, you could say that. You could say that. I prefer gold sprinkles, gold nuggets, maybe. But
There you go.
the little nugget in the turd. No,
You're corn.
no. But oh my goodness, no. But yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff going on, and it does get it can weigh on you. And if people get too focused on the darkness, well, it can kind of suck. But
Oh yeah.
yeah. But I was talking, my brother, he was having a moment earlier, and he just started sending text after text. And I'm like, yes, everything that you're saying is true, and it sucks, but it's going to be okay. All right. I am going to be an eternal optimist, and I may have my rants, and Dark Dozer may come out every now and then. Dark Dozer may, rear the ugly tracks and start tearing up small businesses, but metaphorically, of course. But things will lighten up. Things will lighten up. And that's, if as kind of my format here, typically what we do is, if you're new to the channel, first of all, hi. Second of all, we kind of do 3 to 4 stories. That's usually my format, 3 to 4 newsish stories. And then at the end, I'll do a couple either stories that are just completely unrelated to news. I usually end up going science-y or just kind of feel-good stories. And that's kind of the goal. At the end of the show, we may have talked about a lot of crap, a lot of stuff that might get you down a little bit, might make you think about all the bad things in the world. But if I can kind of switch it up at the end and provide a little bit of levity, just strictly levity, because even though we talk about the hard stuff, we do get a little bit of lightheartedness with that. At least that's my style. But yeah, I like throwing stuff at the end. What's up, Neurodivergent One? So you got a give, send. That's right. Oh, I'm going to pin that for a second right there. There is a give, send, go for hurricane relief. And I appreciate Trump. I appreciate him doing the GoFundMe, but somebody should have probably counseled him a little bit about that before using GoFundMe. Either way, if the money is, if at least if most of the money, I would hope, is going towards the victims, then that's a good thing. I will say stay away from Red Cross. I've heard some really bad things about them.
And I will say, there's one organization up in North Carolina called the Martyrs Walk, and they're a men's-based religious organization out of Charlotte, and they've been very well vouched for and verified, and they're doing a lot of stuff too, boots on the ground.
Good deal.
So
good deal.
There's another one if you don't want to do through a private, if you want to give direct to an organization, the Martyrs Walk, they're doing some really good stuff up there.
Good deal. Good information. Let's see, the campaign was set up to give send go to dispense to grant recipients. Good deal. Good deal. Well, let's go ahead and start talking, do a little bit of a teaser for our topics, the appetizer. The first thing that we are going to talk about, if you can't tell, we're going to be talking about some hurricane stuff, guys. There are a lot of theories.
Hurricane?
A lot of theories. Yeah, what hurricane? There was some bad weather. I heard there was a little bit of a gusty incident in the southeast of this country that spanned like 10 states or something like that. Just a bit of a gusty, maybe some sprinkles,
Oh yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. So we're going to talk about that. I've got a video here from a lot of civilians. One of the greatest things about this, because there's a lot of things that frustrate me about this situation for sure. But one of the things that I really like is we are seeing, our fellow men come together to step in when the government that we support, that we give our dollars to, that is meant to protect our citizens in times of need and help in times of need, when they are failing, one might posit intentionally. It's good to see our fellow men and our citizens come together, and God bless it if I could. I've thought about it. I don't know what I could do, but I've thought about seeing if I can take some time off work and head down there and do something. I'm not sure if I would get in the way or not. That's my only concern there. But I sure as hell can lift something heavy and move it if you need me to. I'm good at that. I can bring a chainsaw. I can bring some, chains. I can, do something, but.
I'll be very honest with you, especially up in Western North Carolina, there will be need for support for the next year or more.
Yeah. It's not going to be a couple week thing.
It's destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we're gonna get into it for sure. Um, it's a travesty. It is, but we are gonna go from talking about all the hurricane stuff. And we are going to roll into. See, I was kind of flipping back and forth between doing the sand folk issue. There's trouble in the sandbox, guys. Trouble in the sandbox yet again. Iran did their. We'll go ahead and do that one after the hurricane stuff. Speaking of natural disasters and man-made disasters with the war stuff. Iran got a little bit hitch in their giddy up and decided to fire a bunch of missiles at Israel, and the Iron Dome failed. In some
Well,
aspects, the tinfoil hat would make me think that possibly October 7th might have been allowed. Maybe this was allowed. I don't know. I'm
it
just
seems to
speculating.
me from what I had seen, there wasn't necessarily too many failures of Iron Dome as much as it was knocking things out of the sky and the debris was falling down.
Yeah.
There were those issues with that there, number one. But beyond that, as things went, it was because, David slaying an Iron Dome, they're bombarding. It's okay. 100 missiles come in. You knock out 98 of them. Oh, it failed.
Yeah. There's going to be that's good perspective. There's going to be a certain percentage that are going to get through if you do the scatter shot approach, which is essentially what they did, because I think it was like 200 or something or 300 missiles that they were shooting. So there's probably going to be something that gets through. Cheddar Steve, what's up, Cheddar Steve? That was a funny comment though. He said, "I think you should challenge this guy to a duel." I'm not gonna duel Sully. I don't even have my good dueling glove. I was watching. That makes me think. I was watching the Princess Bride with my wife last night, and she had only gotten halfway through, and we got to the point. Literally, it was the fight with Inigo Montoya. With the Six Finger Man, and I'm just like, this is epic. This is epic. Biden's out of control. What did Biden do now, Lord Sterling? He's been out of control. He's like I say, Biden was French fry brains 3.5 years ago, and now he is full on mashed potato brains. I mean, I suppose he could turn into baked potato exploding in the microwave brains. No threats there, Fed boy is asshole. No threats there. Just a metaphor. But is he doing? Oh wait,
right
okay,
now
wait.
Baked brains out on the beach. That's all he's doing.
Oh God. Oh, this is a direct quote, apparently. And I saw something like this. Question: what do the states in the storm zone need after what you saw today? That's after he did a flyover of some of the states.
Right.
Storm zone. Biden replies, "Oh, storm zone. I didn't know which storm you're talking about."
Yeah.
It's bad, guys. It's bad. He's not been leading this country. So when people act all pissed off and freaked out about, oh, well, who's going to be running our country now? It's the status quo. It's the same old that it's been for the past 3 years. Nothing really changed. It was just
who's been running our country forever.
Yeah. It's even when you have a rebel rouser like Trump get in, there's still only certain things that he's able to control,
right,
quote unquote. So. And we saw that over and over again over 4 years. And I think I'm thinking next go round might be a little bit different. He's got to get there though. He's got to get there.
Yeah,
Lord Sterling,
exactly, Cheddar.
Lord Sterling, you're good, man. I love the chat. I do the best I can to keep up with the chat. So if I do miss something important, I do apologize. If you want to make sure that I see something in the chat, you always have the option to send a lovely Rumble rant. Nobody ever has to, though. Nobody ever has to donate to this channel. But if you'd like to donate to the Dozer Den, you can be a subscriber for $5 a month. And one of the great things about being a subscriber to this channel, you get subscriber-only emotes, exclusive emotes, the best emotes.
Or at least that's what I've been told.
That's what I've been told. I wouldn't say that, but other people have said it.
And you also smartest people,
smartest people, the smartest, and you get lit up in the beautiful MAGA red. Each comment that you make when you subscribe to this channel, MAGA red, it's glorious, it's the best. You stick out like a beautiful sore thumb, not an infected sore thumb, a beautiful sore thumb. Oh gosh, I'm having too much fun with that. Lord Sterling, you like that travel in the sandbox? Yeah. Yeah, I gotta make jokes. I said that at work the other day. I mentioned the Sandfolk. I said, "Well, the Sandfolk are at it again," and she said, "That's got to be the most non-PC thing I've heard at work in a while." I like it. Yeah, yeah.
That's true, though.
It is. I don't care. I care that we're sending our people over there, and we're going to be sending more people over to the Middle East. And I have friends and family that have been in the armed forces, and I hate seeing innocent souls served up into the meat grinder. As I've said before, I've been saying it on Twitter as many times as I can. Excuse me, X, as many times as I can. I say it just about every stream now. The gears of war must be lubricated by the blood of the innocent. That may be dark, but that is the truth. And it sucks. And I just hate to see it. I hate to see it. But but hopefully cooler heads will prevail or something like that.
Right.
And hopefully it doesn't go to full out World War III. But like I've said before, I think we're kind of already in World War III. We just haven't called it that yet. Back in the early 1900s, they didn't call it World War I yet. They called it the Great War at first, and even then it wasn't called that at first. And the build up to it, it was just, oh, this conflict, put out fire here, until eventually you have a blaze. And I think the kindling is getting stirred. That's what it feels like to me, anyways. Hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope and pray that I'm wrong. History does rhyme, though. History rhymes. Want to check in on my people on X. We usually get a few people watching. Got 81 people watching over on X. Thank you guys so much. Hello. Thank you guys so much. Follow solely, by the way, the Gun Club and Real Hard Truths on Rumble. Great stuff. Great stuff. Worth following. Worth getting in the comments section. Fixing that algorithm up a little bit. I don't know how the algorithm works on Rumble, but I hear if you get in the comments section, it pleases the algorithm gods. So whatever sacrificial comment you wish to make to please the algorithm gods, hold it up on high.
Well, I'm actually going on my phone now because I've already given you pounded you on the plussy over there, but I just pounded that plussy. And that plussy over here again.
Oh, I missed the good old days of Rumble where it was still the plussy. Yeah, the thumbs up is nice, but I missed that smash the plussy. Yeah. Used to be a plus sign. Hey, what's up, Castro? Savage. Throw in the chat.
Will you be prepared? Are you still interested in a solar-powered generator?
God, I hear that ad for a solar-powered generator.
Yep, nice. that's the open roll on your channel.
Yeah. Nice, very nice. Hey, we got ads at least. Maybe at some point that'll actually turn into ad revenue on Rumble.
It hopefully should.
And I think Rumble is on the way up. I know that I know that there are struggles, and I know that there are some quirks here and there, like we demonstrated earlier with the camera having to select the opposite one.
Oh yeah.
But that's small potatoes, honestly, compared to what it used to be. So like back in the Plessy days, it was rough. It was rough. It was a chore to watch. You had to really be dedicated to saying, screw you, YouTube. By the way, I am streaming to YouTube as well. And if you want to follow me over there, same username, Dozer74. But Rumble and X, that is where I am focusing most of my attention. I've actually, I've got this little thing up here, follow, like, subscribe, share, and my X account, it's at BillDozer74__, recently cracked 2,000 followers over there on X. I'm not sure why, but it's happening, and I appreciate it. So thank you to everybody that watches me there. Looking like I've got 93 people watching on the X stream. Thank you very much, y'all. Appreciate the heck out of you.
And I've got to say, Rumble, the issues they've had, they are playing catch up. YouTube was around a lot longer, bigger a lot longer. Rumble never really took off till what? 2020, 21, it was a small, organization. Their growth and their improvements exponential. So I'm keeping the faith with them.
Impressive to see, and I'm sticking with them. And I know they might not be perfect. They definitely got to work on that. They got to work on the customer service. Although the one time that I've reached out to Rumble's customer service, they actually got back to me in like a day, and came up with an answer. And one of the things that I was wanting to do was be able to access, whatever ends up in my Rumble bank. I wanted to be able to access it whenever I wanted to. But if you are a premium subscriber, for some reason that option goes away. And that's what they told me. And I'm like, that's an odd thing. If you want people to subscribe to Rumble Premium as a creator, and have the little check mark, that shouldn't mean that that you have to wait till the end of the month. If you want to take some out here and there, you should be able to do so. I think they need to fix that. But that's a small gripe I have. And they are very engaged with their creators. They, at least online, I've seen like a Rumble Rick, I think he goes by, a Rick Rosella maybe. I think that's him. He actually has been in a few groups with like that Daramuth made. Like ways to improve Rumble. And I don't know. Sully, have you seen that channel? There's a couple channels on Rumble that I think Daramuth put together, where it's like like working on the kinks of stuff, kinks of Rumble and things like that.
As a matter of fact, the funny thing was I was supposed to be a guest on Dara Chat earlier this week, but something happened. I'm trying to think.
There's a puddle. There's a puddle that got in your way, and the coat didn't cover it.
The puddle didn't come this way.
True.
We got blown though.
You got blown hard.
Oh, very hard, very hard. And for those of y'all who don't know, I currently live in upstate South Carolina, where I work as a paramedic and emergency medical dispatcher. I previously worked in Western North Carolina for 8 years and lived up there. So Ground Zero up there was my old area, and Ground Zero here is where I'm at now. So somehow I wasn't available Monday night. Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, there's something got in your way. Something got in your way.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
just laziness, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Laziness. Didn't want to actually have to like put on a good clean shirt here like I did for Bill. Try to dress up a little bit. But
Nice,
didn't bother to shave.
I actually shaved
I had
up
a
the
couple
neck tonight.
people come on asking me about links to the other channels, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the chat over here.
Absolutely, throw it in.
It's up in there.
I do have the Gun Club one in the comments section, but I did forget the Real Hard Truth one. But there it is. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. That way, for people watching later, if you wanted to screenshot it, there you go. Real Hard Truths is the first one. Leave that up for a second or two, and then the other one should be coming. Or did you want to just, since I got it in the comment section?
I got just the one up because
okay.
I saw a couple of people ask me what's the other channel, and I'm like, I got.
There you go. Good looking there for yourself. What is up, Cool Frog, with a $1 Rumble rant? Chadley of you, sir. Chadley indeed. Cool Frog says, off to bed. Open mic at 3 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Come join if you're awake. Wink, wink. Long streams happen.
So you going at like 3 a.m. in a few hours, or?
Yeah, he's going to be going to bed, I guess, now, and then waking up probably
up at 6 and going 12 hours. Okay.
Yeah, he's going. He's going to be going from 3 a.m. to, I guess 3 p.m. Man,
I may well drop in for some of that.
Heck yeah. And it's an open mic, so it's Friday open mic. So, man, if I didn't have work tomorrow, I would join you, man, because I like to stay up late. I mean, that one night I joined the stream at like 2:30 and stayed up till like 5 a.m. or something like that. I think that was the day that they shot Trump. So I was on for like 5 hours. That was crazy. But see ya, Cool Frog. Get some rest, buddy, and appreciate that $1 Rumble rant, bud. Definitely appreciate it. Any little bit of support helps.
Everything helps.
Everything helps for sure. All right. See, we did. Oh, do we have Salty saying? Did I miss you, Salty? If you hear Salty saying, hey, bud, thanks for joining. Let's see. You got Wiley Coyote. That means Bill Ezra gets 50 cents and Rumble gets 50 cents, right? I don't think that's how the split works. I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit better for the creators than that. But
thought it was 80-20, but
I'm pretty sure it's something like that. But all right. So we're going to talk about the Sandbox and the turmoil in the Sandbox. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about a gun-related issue. My, do I have somebody who knows some stuff about guns today?
So you got me.
That was
today.
That was serendipitous right there because I was going to talk about these two things anyways, and the fact that you're down there, of course. But then the gun thing, I had watched that Viva. We're gonna
Mhm.
go through an article first that kind of details what the case is, what's been going on with this fella named Reuben King. It's yet another example of how Pennsylvania simply just detests the Amish. I think that they have a bone to pick with the Amish because they are self-sufficient and they are moral, upstanding individuals. And a state government like Pennsylvania, they can't stand something like that. So they have to go at these people for just existing. And it sounds like this guy actually has some good constitutional challenges to the
I
demand that you
th-
be
I
licensed.
think he's got two. I think
Yeah,
he's got two at least.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you listen to Barnes, I think it's like a 10-minute clip that Viva and
Yeah.
Barnes, and they're going back and forth talking about it, and it's a really good discussion. And so we'll read through the article, kind of give you a brief rundown, and then have my reaction, Sully's reaction, and then we're going to go through and watch Viva and Barnes go back and forth because I believe Barnes is actually representing um, Reuben King, so he didn't pop in until
He's
the end, so
Barnes has
he's on
been
the
doing a
appeal.
lot up there with that community and some of the
Yes.
targeting they've been receiving. I
Mhm.
mean, before the gun thing, the whole Amos Miller raw milk issue to me is still
Mhm.
just disgusting. This is the way they have lived for thousands of years. Why does the government have to come in and tell them? Leave them alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and when they try to manufacture evidence or tell straight up lies
Yeah.
to fearmonger, I mean, it's not like the government likes to keep people controlled with fear or obfuscation, right?
Right. No. And I'll say I've actually been up around Pennsylvania Dutch country before. And, you know, even when you meet the people in town, they're the nicest, quietest, keep to themselves people. They don't do anything to anybody.
Yep. Yeah,
They have
and a lot of the
total
times,
non-aggression mentality.
yep,
Why are we
they're
attacking them?
pacifists.
Yes. Why does our government decide they need to? Yeah. It's like we have a lot of Mennonites down here near me in South Carolina. Wonderful people, nicest people you'd ever want to meet.
Yep, I agree. There you
Hmm.
go. Donna's got a great point there.
Yep.
They aren't drinking the poison.
Hmm.
Oh man, so we're gonna talk through that. I'm gonna watch the clip from Barnes, and then we're gonna roll into one might call it another travesty, another tragedy. There was a murder the other night. Uh, Vance destroyed Tim Walz in
Yeah.
this debate,
Yeah.
and it was. I'm still writing an endorphin high. So this is kind of like this. We're going to talk about some dark stuff, and then this fourth story in itself is a bit of a white pill for me, anyways.
It really is.
Seeing Vance get up there and just he was a master class, an absolute master class in just presenting himself well. He did an excellent job of handling the moderators, I guess we could call them.
And it was definitely a 3-on-1, not quite as bad as it was 3-on-1 in the
Mhm.
Trump debate, but you know, I loved when she starts doing, well, fact check this. Well, you weren't supposed to fact check, but as long as you are, let's go with facts.
Yep.
And they
He
shut his
handled
mic
them.
off.
And they
And
and then the little, "Oh, we can't nobody can hear you." Yeah, I could still hear him.
yeah,
Just I will say, if I was going to grade, if I wasn't going to grade the moderators, I would give them a C for condescending cunts. That's where I'm at
okay.
with that.
Okay, so I take it I don't have to filter what I say tonight.
Nah. Nah,
Okay.
I get a little bit loose. I try not to get too bad, but yeah, you do say what you want, man.
Okay. I will put it to you this way. At the point that I have a choice between listening to either of the candidates for vice president of our country or having somebody sitting at a table shutting their mics off, I think it needs to go the other way. I think the people who are running for vice president ought to be able to say, shut your mic off. That's enough of you, Twatsy. Because think about this. We've got these media people muzzling the vice presidential candidates.
Mhm.
Tail wagging that dog.
Yeah.
I would love to see Vance look at her and say, you know what? You were lucky enough to be here, but you'll never be involved with another debate ever. Congratulations. You've ruined your career.
It's something that should occur. As
A
far as that
vice
should be
presidential candidate being muted by
harpies, downright harpies.
Mhm.
I categorize them as vapid hoes. I like it. I like it.
You're being very nice there,
Parasite,
Sangland.
parasite prostitutes.
Mhm.
Salty saying. That's good. I like it. They could, and the thing is, they could do a good job if they wanted to. Probably, maybe, if they just weren't so damn biased. If they just could
Mhm.
be objective for a little bit instead of objectionable, like that would be great. Be objective, not objectionable.
Yes.
That's not that hard. It's really not.
Stay
And
stay out of the debate. I mean,
I think it all
whether
started with Candy Crowley. I think it with Candy Crowley and that Mitt Romney debate. When she started going back and forth with him, that's the first time
yeah,
that we really saw it back in 2012. And Romney, screw him, first of all. But they did him dirty in that. And man, when you saw Obama's face whenever she started going back and forth with him, it just lit up like, "Oh, you're doing what I want you to do." Like,
but
it's just
again, now
slimy.
I watch a lot of football tonight. I was watching some baseball before we went on. My Mets won the wild card. Sorry, Brewers. Anyway, any
There you
Brewer
go.
fans in the chat, you can hate me now. Let's go, Mets. But the umpires are not supposed to affect the game.
hmm
In football on Saturday or Sunday, the refs should not play a part in the game. The greatest refs in the world were the ones you never knew anything about them. You never heard their name.
Yeah, that's how it should
The
be.
players are there to play. You're inconsequential.
hmm
Quit, trying to like blow yourself up into something you're not. Because
Yeah,
that got out like,
yeah. It's I think it's dead. Honestly, I think this debate format, I think the structure of it, I think it should probably go ahead after this cycle. I would like it if it just went away. And I am all for long form content, actual discussions between the two opposing sides with somebody who is legitimately going to foster a decent conversation, like a Joe Rogan, like a,
yeah,
Sean Ryan, like a,
yeah.
even Alex the robot. What is his last name? The Russian. He's Russian, nerdy guy. Why am I blanking on
Hey,
his last name? Dang, Alex
but
something.
when you
But
watch even trigonometry,
mm,
Constantine Klessen,
mhm.
they're there to hear from the other person, not to, it's their show, but they're there to hear from that other person. And Donna, dear, I am very sorry to inform you, maybe next year. I believe the
Lex Friedman.
yeah,
Lex Friedman. Thanks, Sterling.
yeah.
There you go. Yep. I think we could do with a different format for sure, because I think that's where the country is heading. Honestly, I think we're moving away from the old guard. As a people, I think we are, and it's evident in their ratings, in the public perception of the media. I have a buddy. He's literally a Bernie bro, and he works
Mhm.
in the media, and he was really harping on me when I would say media, and he goes, "Please don't just say media in general. Say corporate media." And I was like, "That's fair." But also, even at the local level, there's a lot of media outlets. When you see that whole compilation of all the different outlets saying the same damn thing, hundreds of them parroting the
Yeah.
same line. I mean, it is corporate, but it trickles down even into the local stations. So it's like, I got to call it all out. I do.
Mhm.
And that's on the left and the right, because there's two sides of the same damn coin at this point.
Mhm.
Fox News is not. I'm not a fan of Fox News. The only person that I really liked there, I like Faulkner. She's one of the only anchors that I still like. There is Faulkner. I used to like Brett Baer until he just kind of started getting a little bit crazy with it. And the Botox, Brett, just stop it. Stop. You're addicted to plastic surgery, Brett Baer. Stop it. You don't need it anymore, sir.
Now I'll tell you, I like Janine Pirro on the 5.
I like Janine.
She'll call it out,
And Jesse
and
Waters.
yeah, and I love watching Gutfeld at night. That's
Okay.
one of my
There's some personalities that I do enjoy on Fox, but as far as their reporting and
yeah.
who owns Fox,
Right.
yeah, there's some conflicting ideologies at play. So those are kind of the topics that we're going to discuss. I do have a couple little lighthearted ones at the end. String theory. Ashton Forbes coming in hot all the time. By the way, Ashton Forbes, great follow on X, by the way. Just X Ashton. He's the one that's been going in deep into like free energy and the missing Malaysian Airlines plane. That is some interesting stuff. If you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, it's worth a couple hours of your time. Very interesting. And
We'll have to talk about that some night. You know, I'm also kind of well versed on aviation.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. It's very interesting stuff. But we're going to talk a little bit about string theory. Got a clip that Ashton Forbes posted from I forgot the creator who actually I think it shows whenever we watch the video, but little just fun kind of, you know, completely detached from all the bull crap. Just a fun sciencey thing to just kind of, you know, pique your interest maybe.
Exactly. Wile E. Coyote, string theory is something that Tim Walz tried to get in all the boys' bathrooms. Well said, Mr. Coyote, sir.
Wiley, that is brutal, and I love it, sir. Well done. Well done. Before we actually get into the meat of the show tonight, we're already 40 minutes in. We're not going 3 hours tonight, Sully. We're not doing it. I'm getting a little bit. I'm like, the juices are flowing now. I'm getting a little bit more amped, even though I'm sleepy. But anyways, before we
raised on caffeine, nicotine, and bad attitude.
There you go. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I get up in the morning, do a couple of lines of Mountain Dew, and I'm all good.
There you go. Before we go ahead and get into the stream, let's go ahead and check Rumble Ad Center. Got a couple ads there. Might as well go ahead and read to get out the way. This show is sponsored by Rumble Premium. This sponsorship is from Rumble, one that is incredibly important to the survival of the company. When Rumble first started in 2013, that's right, guys, 2013. It didn't just show up in 2019 or 2020. It's been around, but it was mostly focused on cat videos before. It's developed into something beautiful, I would say.
So actually, when Rumble videos, it was Canadian.
Yeah. It's Canada. Yep, exactly. When Rumble first started in 2013, they built the platform for the small creator. They didn't censor or have biases. They were fair and treated all creators equally. No one thought platforms would censor political conversations or censor opinions on COVID, but they did. Facebook admitted they fell to pressure from the Biden and Harris administration. Rumble did not. They held the line. They are attacked daily for giving us a voice to talk to you. They are attacked in corporate media. They are attacked by governments like France and Brazil and Russia. They are attacked from brand advertisers who refuse to work with them. Corporate America is fighting to remove speech. Rumble is fighting to keep it. Rumble won't survive with brand advertisers. They really don't get much of that. Watching this show on Rumble is the most they can ask from you. But if you really believe in this fight and you have the means, that is important. Only if you have the means. Don't ever put yourself out to, throw a little extra out to creators or throw out to support. If you can do it, if you have the means, one major way you can help Rumble survive is by joining Rumble Premium. Join the community that believes in the First Amendment and believes in our human right to free speech. Rumble is offering $10 off with the promo code STUDIO. That's STUDIO. When you purchase an annual subscription, go to rumble.com/premium and use promo code STUDIO. Like I said, if you have the means and believe in the cause, now is the time to join Rumble Premium. If you don't have the means, you know what? Just happy that you're here to watch us here on Rumble on the Dozer Den. Appreciate you guys hanging with me through that. Hopefully it wasn't too painful. I try to make those as entertaining and palatable as possible.
And you do wonderful doing it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been told I do okay. That was 86 cents, by the way, guys. I had somebody say last stream, and they're like, that was at least worth like $5, man. Like you gotta like start emailing Rumble and be like, hey, sponsor me, damn it.
Oh yeah.
We got some eyes on us.
But the great thing is, little by little, we're building it up. The Rumble Ad Center was not there 6 months ago.
That's right.
They are moving forward faster than YouTube ever has. And the thing is, you can upgrade tech, you can fix tech, you can debug tech, You can't debug attitudes and morals and values. And having seen what Chris's attitudes and morals and values are, I'll support him all the way.
Yep. It's been good to see. It's been good to see.
Mm-hmm.
No one's perfect, but it sure is good to see.
Yeah, but he's not against like raising the single finger victory salute to prime ministers of other countries.
Yep.
No, we're not. No, sorry, we're not censoring. Go. Yeah.
Yep. It's been truly amazing to see. And I see that we are up to 174 live viewers currently on X.
Nice.
Amazing. Amazing, all you Chads and Chadinas or Chadettes. I like Chad and Chadette. I like that. Very nice. Very nice. Appreciate you guys very much. Go ahead and get. Hey, I see Julian's over there watching. What's up, Julian? Appreciate you guys. Throwing a chat comment out here in the live chat on X for you. Get a little bit of movement over there. All right. Yeah. Donna, that is a good question. Just Bulldozer. Inquiring minds want to know, are those your pillow pets? And did you name them? They're not actually pillow pets. They're the marshmallows or whatever they call squishmallows, I think you call them. One of them is mine. Yes, that is a comfortable little thing. And you know what? My shoulder hurts, and if I'm gonna have something in between my arms to keep my shoulder from hurting, might as well be that cute little fucker. And it does not have a name. It does not have a name. The other one's my wife's. It's just a little unicorn, weird little unicorn thing. She's I don't think she's got shoulder issues. She just likes it. So yeah, there it is. But yep, those are the ones on the bed. They don't have names, but yeah, my girls. There's a lot of stuffed animals in this house. We have 2 girls and a little boy, and of course he likes his blankies right now. He's on a blankie kick. If he can get his blankie and be running around with it and have it before he goes to bed, if we start to try to put him to bed without the blankie, he just starts going blankie. Like, all right, buddy, we'll get you a blankie. You suggest Francis? Name the little husky Francis? Maybe. Pulled McGroin. What's up, Pulled McGroin? I saw you popped in earlier. Thanks for joining, bud. Hope your groin's okay, because he literally did pull his groin at some point a couple weeks ago. Also, I think his scuba diver and his name is Steve, so he's Scuba Steve. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much to everybody who is watching. If you have not liked the channel yet, go ahead and like that. Smash that like button. Caress it. Tap it. Whisper sweet nothings into its ear. Give it slight nibbles if you like. Wait, don't do that. That's Joe Biden. Just following the lead of our president, right? No, but if you do feel the need to smash that like button multiple times, at least do it 3 times. Because if you do it twice, you cancel it out, and then nobody wants that. So do it a 3rd time. Give yourself a little bit extra leeway. Hit it 3 times, and then boom. There you go. Just saying.
You can try anything once. If you like it, do it 3 times. Anyway,
exactly. There you go. At least. Oh, what is it? Making sure I'm not missing anything too crazy in the chat here. All right, so let's go ahead and start rolling into our first topic. Before we actually get into the video and start, well, I guess I'll kind of go into it with my own little thoughts. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that end up being true, and I talked to some people who actually look at the radars like on a regular basis, actual legit storm chasers earlier today, and I brought up because I've seen a lot of people bringing up the radar thing, and there are what look like to me, as somebody who is an amateur at looking at this type of thing, they do look like just anomalies, just glitches and stuff like that. But there are some, as far as like the directional shifts and concentrations of this storm, that make you scratch your head just ever so slightly. And, when you look into HARP, when you look into the fact that we have literally been modifying the weather for almost 100 years at least, back into the 1940s, we were working on ways to cloud seed and modify the weather. And my thing is, and it pissed me off. I was talking to my wife earlier, Lady Dozer. She was letting me rant. And I was talking about how recently they've been just reporting weather modification and cloud seeding. Like, oh yeah, of course we've been doing that. Excuse me, screw you. When I said this a couple of years ago, or when people like me and in this sphere would say stuff like this 3 or 4 years ago, we were crazy. We were nut jobs. We were conspiracy theorists. And now you're just acting like, oh, yeah, of course we've been doing this forever. Come on, man. It's like, go fuck
So
yourself.
you're
All right.
so you're saying it's not happening. You have no
Mm.
proof it's happening. Of course it's happening, you idiot.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It's happening. Okay, yeah, it's happening. And I mean, you know what? It's good that it's happening. You just laid it
Yeah.
out. That is exactly what I was thinking in my head. It's
Mhm.
I forgot
It's
what that's called, but it is a thing. It is a thing. Man. So I don't know. I don't know for sure. I just know what's real is the suffering that is currently going on in these areas. And it angers me to see that we have, first of all, it makes me happy to see that we have citizens stepping up to help their common man, their fellow man. But what pisses me off is when you have the officials stopping this, disallowing entry from different, citizens that have choppers and stuff like that. I get wanting to make sure that the airways are safe, but that's part of the communication that's there. And like they can give access to different channels and stuff like that so that you can coordinate effectively with them. And one would think that they would take all the help that they could get. But hey, what's up, salty muggerfugger? Glad to see you. Your name is very hard to say if you want to stay without cursing, but I say it anyways. But you would think that the officials would want people to come in and help. And I get you don't want a whole bunch of Indians and no chiefs. I get that. But it seems like some of these people end up in a position of authority and want to have a dick measuring contest. And that's not helping anybody. It's really not. And the case that I have here, it's a short clip of a father and his son that were actually out in their helicopter and making trips up and down the mountain to try to save people. And it was in South Carolina. A South Carolina pilot actually
the
volunteered to
South
help someone
Carolina
out.
pilot up in North
Yeah,
Carolina, Lake
yeah,
Lure.
yep, that's the one I'm looking at.
Yep.
And it's insane the response that he gets. Whereas one day or 1 hour, it's just fine, and then all of a sudden someone pops up, and it reminds me of the scenes from South Park where there's a disaster or the government's responding to something, and then somebody comes up and then I'm the one in charge here, and then all of a sudden someone goes up, not anymore, you're not, and then and then they walk away. It's kind of that kind of vibe. That's what I'm feeling anyways. But it troubles me to think that we have hundreds of billions of dollars flowing out of this country to go to wars that we have no damn business in, to go to bombs, signing bombs and sending off these bombs. We have more resources put into other countries than we have to put into our country, our own country. I've been reading that apparently FEMA has used $1 billion. $1 billion.
A billion.
For
Yep,
illegal
over
aliens.
a billion.
For
Yeah.
illegal aliens. And I care about people. I care about human beings. But America first, fuck off. I don't care about these illegal aliens. They shouldn't receive any of the Federal Emergency Management Agency. If you're going to go ahead and call it, I guess then that's them acknowledging that the whole migrant crisis is an emergency. If FEMA is giving $1 billion to it, right?
Now, but weren't we told like a year or two ago that the border was secure and there was no crisis?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now we're being told that the crisis was so bad we depleted all of our FEMA funds before hurricane season.
Yeah. Apparently.
I'm going to say this, and I try not to get too political sometimes, but if this, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, if this is not gross mismanagement, I don't care what you stand for or anything else, the person can have the same absolute ideological goals as you, but if they're a completely incompetent manager and can't achieve those goals and do nothing but destroy everything they touch, maybe I don't even want someone with the same goals,
Yeah.
Because this, like I said, this is beyond. When I read that stuff about today about what they've spent, the San Diego welcome shelter and everything else, I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Saw Big Ass Life popping up in the chat. Nice to see you, Big Ass Life. Good to have you here. To everybody, if you haven't smashed that like button, smash the like button. If you haven't followed this channel yet, we are 16 followers away here on Rumble from hitting the beautiful 400 follower mark, and there will most likely be another placeholder video when that happens. So I do see that we have some more folks in the chat. My goodness, y'all are tearing it up. Thank you guys so much. So we had a salt dumpster popped up. Domo arigato, Mr. Bill Kamatsu. Thank you very much. I can say that because I'm brown and I have squinty eyes. I don't know what all is floating around in my jeans, guys. I've never had it checked out.
No comment.
Metaphorical, not metaphorical. Other genes. We have a homophone here.
I am not homophonic.
Very good. I'm glad to hear it. Oh, I see we've got some people in the chat. If by the way, to my subscribers, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. Your support means the world to me. I don't know why anybody would want to support a channel like this or support me, but I absolutely appreciate the hell out of it. You help me focus on doing stuff like this. The whole goal of this is to inform and entertain. And if we can make that happen and get a little extra support, if you can help keep this young father from door dashing in the evenings, at least on Thursdays, by the way, then I sincerely appreciate you. Definitely makes it a little bit nicer, a little bit nicer. But
And Wally Cody, I've got to say this. I know what you're saying. I deal with the ex's kid who still lives up there in Asheville, which is liberal as hell. And I had a long discussion with her today after I sent her one of the videos about the 750. And it was like, look, you may think Orange Man bad if you want. Well, I'm not going to even fight that. That's, I'm not going to change your mind there. But if this kind of management, we spent everything on the San Diego Border Center, and now you've got no power and no food up there, and you're getting 750, you enjoy that.
Yeah.
You voted for it.
What's up, Gene Bondano? Thanks for popping into the chat, buddy. Glad to see you. I said, what about jeans? Well, Eugene. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Chat is popping today. Chat is a popping. So, Sully, go ahead and talk a little bit about what kind of you're seeing, like firsthand,
Okay.
like kind of the damage, or the inconveniences and stuff like that from this storm.
Alrighty. I am currently in the upstate of South Carolina, a little place called Lawrence County. If you happen to be looking at a map, we're below Spartanburg. We're sort of next to Greenville. It's a big diamond-shaped county. They never label because it's a hole in the wall. We got hit. It started coming in about 3 o'clock, midnight to 3 o'clock, early Friday morning. We lost power at my house about 3 something. I ended up saying, oh, well, I'll go to bed. When I get up the next day, we're hearing how bad it is and everything else. I've lived in this county, worked in this county, worked for EMS in this county 25 plus years. Going into work that day, going in that night, Friday night, I have never seen anything like this. When we got in and they had the EOC and everything activated, the county, now I'm in a rural area, but the county, city, the 2 cities and the county, 100% without power. Virtually every road had trees down on it. Getting to work, there was one lane where they had cut just enough to get an emergency vehicle through. They had put in state of emergency, all kinds of curfew stuff and everything else. And you say, okay, how bad is it going to be? The amount and the quantity of stuff, again, that was Friday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't have power. My best friend lives between here and town. He still doesn't have power. They said maybe by midnight tomorrow night. Then about an hour ago, they sent me a text message, maybe Monday. The only reason I'm on right now is I've got a generator running outside, and I'm actually hotspotting off my cell phone. Now, north of here, Greenville County, which is a bigger county, about 900 square miles, they've had to have resources come in from out of state just to help run their EMS calls because their crews are completely mentally, physically exhausted. And we all got lucky. Spartanburg above us got lucky. We've got all the tree damage and a little bit of the flooding. Below us, Saluda County, they had 2 firefighters responding to a fire call on Friday. A tree went through their truck and killed both of them. It was a 53-year-old chief, plumbing contractor, plumbing foreman, supervisor just out serving his community, and an 18-year-old kid who just graduated from high school, FFA. Just your local, everyday people. Saturday morning, we had one of our firefighters get hit by a car. He was on scene dealing with a car that had hit a downed tree, and somebody came up and hit him. He ended up having to be life flighted out. That was Saturday morning, about 5 o'clock in the morning.
Man.
And again, this guy has got a wife and 2 kids. I know them well. His mother-in-law lives 200 yards from my house. I've had Thanksgiving dinner over there. He got, clipped by a car. Folks, that's just, we're lucky here.
Yeah.
North Carolina, there are towns up there. And again, I worked up there from 91 to 99 when I was going through paramedic school and everything. There are towns up there that are completely gone. The town of Chimney Rock, the town of Lake Lure, massive devastation. Swannanoa, which is out on I-40. If you think of Buncombe County, Asheville's the county seat, and then moving east, there's like Riceville, Swannanoa, Black Mountain, and then the next county. Swannanoa is built around the old Beacon Blanket Factory, old mill town. Beacon Blankets, one of the biggest blanket manufacturers in the country. The mill town around the Beacon Blanket Factory, before this happened, had about 80 houses. There are currently less than 11 habitable left. Several are completely missing. They don't even know where the house is.
Whew.
It's not that the roof fell in, it's that it's gone. Town's gone. And if Western North Carolina, for what it is, is the mountains, the leaves, the tourist season, and everything else, this is their bread and butter season. I-40 from Haywood County, which is west of Buncombe County, going to Tennessee, they're saying it'll probably be September 2025 before it's reopened.
Oh, good God.
And that's going to be lucky if they hit that timeline. The roads going from Asheville straight over to Bristol Tri-Cities, gone. They're saying possibly January 26th before that's back. That was an interstate highway, gone. North Carolina, Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, Unicoi County Hospital in Tennessee. 62 patients and staff rescued off the roof with helicopters.
I saw that.
Ambulances floating in the parking lot. Now, a new ambulance is $120,000 to $150,000 piece of equipment with about $100,000 of stuff loaded in it. Destroyed. And think about it. If you run, even if your business isn't directly affected, if you run, the Dozer Family Cafe and your tourist season is gone, they're telling everybody, do not even try to come to Western North Carolina right now. You can't get there. There's nothing there.
This is I'm hearing it rhymes with what happened in Lahaina and Maui with the fire. And then the $750 is apparently all they can do. And then all of a sudden, it's just everything is gone and it's just completely destroyed. And then now I'm just curious as to, are we going to start seeing entities coming in and buying up swaths of land for pennies on the dollar now.
I don't know. I don't know.
And
That's
when you look into some of the deposits there in North Carolina, the lithium, mighty convenient. I'm sorry, but things don't usually line up like this.
I understand.
It's I don't want to take away from this the tragedy that we're currently facing and get distracted and squirrel towards other things, but it just I hope that enough people are able to say screw off. But at a certain point, sometimes the federal government just does this thing where it comes in and says, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and buy it anyways," and you're too bad, you got to go, which is hilarious and sad.
Well,
but
I will say this: I feel sorry for the federal government if they try in North Carolina. I don't know about the area around Lahaina at all. I will say one thing up there: North Carolina has a very, very take care of their own mentality. The Martyrs Walk out of Charlotte was already taking supplies over. There's people all over the Southeast jumping in. It's a little bit easier to do it in Lahaina because trying to get supplies in is kind of difficult.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of hard for anyone to try to keep help out.
Yeah. And that's the thing you're seeing a bunch of citizens coming together and making their way down there. I mean, I'm with the Knights of Columbus. I'm up here in, Southeast Missouri, and I was talking to my father-in-law about it. I'm like, hey, is there any plans to go down and volunteer? And he said, well, we don't typically actually send parties to volunteer, but what we would do is maybe get supplies together or funds together and do some fundraisers and things like that. And I said, anything that you need help getting stuff organized, flyers passed out, getting the word out in the area about getting some stuff together to help send these people something more than what our fucking federal government, our fickle feds, the Fed fucks earlier, as Sterling said. That was great. I like that. I've never called them Fed fucks, but I like it.
And I will say this as far as the whole thing, the $750, even down here, okay, down here maybe. Because remember, you go how many days without power on 80 to 75, 80 degree days? Take everything in your refrigerator and freezer and throw it out. It's gone. Number one. Number two, you've got to figure out what you can cook at home, whether on the grill, on a propane, whatever. If you have a generator that you run a drop cord to a microwave and a coffee maker because that's all you're going to live on because you're a crazy single paramedic and you really don't give a shit. But just to feed yourself when you've lost everything in your fridge, it was rough. But up there, think about it. Oh, by the way, your house and your car are both missing. What? They floated downstream.
Yep.
You show up with $750. All I'm going to say is, with all due respect, we're going to do something with feds in Minecraft. I know those people up there. I know them mountain folk.
Yeah. It's a different culture for sure.
There was one of the legends up there. It was one of the old moonshiners, Popcorn. You can read it. It's a great story. He got busted. He basically sat there and it's like, no, I'm going to keep doing it. And they're like, but we told you if you get caught doing it again, he goes, I don't care. It's all I know how to do. But the thing was, they came in and arrested him. He became a national hero.
Yeah, make him the martyr for sure.
They've got wooden statues of him, or had at one point wooden statues of him up at different places up there of old Popcorn and his still.
Old Popcorn. You're saying Popcorn was a bad dude?
Popcorn Sutton? No, not Corn Pop.
Not Corn Pop. It's Popcorn.
He was a good dude. You'd see him in town every now and then, get some corn, get some tubing. Nicest old country fella you'd want to meet. You don't bother me, I ain't bother you. No. And I moved there coming from New York City, so it was culture shock 101 to me. But there's some great people up there. Absolutely wonderful human beings. And they are going to rebuild. But it's going to take a while. And economic-wise, this is a 2 to 3 year rebuilding for them.
Yeah. It's not going to be an easy process. It may fade away in the news cycle, but the people there are going to be struggling with it for years. We
Yes.
had just a brief, just a snippet of natural disaster here in southeast Missouri earlier this year in the spring. We had a spat of tornadoes, you would say, actually three or four tornadoes that ran through the
Right.
area, and thank God it didn't start in around my house. I had a few decent sized limbs down and stuff like that, and we were out of power for 3 days. We were no, it was 2.5, because we were right at the point. Stuff in my deep freeze was still good. It was still cold, but it was starting to be there was still ice and stuff, so things were. I didn't have to throw anything away there. Now my fridge, I had to throw some stuff out of my fridge. Main thing that we were mostly concerned about was the damn breast milk that my wife worked so damn hard pumping away. That was one of the biggest things. Is like, man, she worked hard on that stuff, and if we could maybe donate that or give that away to somebody who's in need, that's the reason that we still got it in the deep freeze, because the boys, he's almost weaned. He's still a tit baby, but he's about close to being weaned. And just something simple, so just a few days of dope power, and the stuff that went even just in that brief snippet. You know how quick the ice went? The ice was the first thing to go. And then after that, it's the other. As the stores could open up, because even Walmart was down for a day or so because they didn't have their emergency backup, I guess.
Walmart here in Lawrence is running at about 50% capacity on partial emergency generator. They're open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., limiting the number of people who can come in the stores. Pickup is, I think, totally suspended right now. Walmart in Simpsonville, which is next county up from us in Greenville County, I went by there today. You just get a few things. I got a jug of milk. I got milk again, It was picked through. The produce aisle was gone. The meats had been restocked. The dairy case, I was able to find like 1% milk, but that was it. But they said yesterday it would have been like almond milk or this, that, or the other. It was all they had. And I'm sorry, personally, I don't drink nut juice. So,
Nah.
yeah. Look, my name's not Tim Walz. Anyway,
that's just the horses.
Nay.
Nay.
Anyway. Yeah, what did Timmy vote on that? Nay. But no, I've got a picture here, and I don't know if I can share it. This was on Facebook, but if there's a way for me to pull this up off mine, I would love to show this picture to give you an idea. Let's see here. Yes, okay, here we go. Okay, this picture is downtown Asheville. Let me see.
I think if we turn our cameras off, it'll make us go away. There we go. There, I moved myself. There, you can keep yourself up.
Okay. This picture is in downtown Asheville, and you see the Wendy's sign here. This is a block from Mission Hospital by the entrance to Biltmore House. There's the Wendy's roof line, folks.
Holy shit.
That is the Wendy's roof line. And this is downtown Asheville, North Carolina. So, yeah, that is what we're dealing with. Also, let's see here if I can flip this across. Bounce this one. This is an idea of South Carolina. The red dot is roughly where I live. Now, below me is like Greenwood. Down here is Saluda County. That's where the 2 firefighters got killed. This is Greenville. Spartanburg is up here. There are shelters currently open still in Spartanburg, Greenville, Lawrence, I believe Newberry, Greenwood. I mean, this whole tip of South Carolina, pretty much everything. The capital, Columbia, is right here. Everything up from there, we got hammered. And again, all those counties. And when you figure out county by county, we were 100% no power, 99% of the roads blocked. I had to go into work Friday night, or I went in early Friday, but we were coming in Friday, night shift on my shift. And I called them and said, here's where I live. Can I get there? And they're like, we think so, but make sure your phone is charged. Make sure you've got this, make sure you've got that. I was like, I've got one bar at the house Fortunately, I had a little pack I could charge my phone with, but I had one bar at the house, and they said, okay. And again, I'm considered like kind of 911, sort of like remotely essential personnel. I mean, I'm somewhere in there, they think they want me to do stuff. But when I can't get to work and they're telling me good luck. And trust me, we were having to reroute trucks because half the roads were closed.
Yeah.
Any call you got, you had to figure out how you were going to get there.
Man. It's just insane. And the fact that we don't, again, I mean, I'm a big hands-off approach when it comes to the federal government. In a lot of ways, I think we don't need the federal government, but this is one of the places where the federal government is actually supposed to be there for the people. This is one of the times, guys. It's like, all right, now's your time to shine, federal government.
Right.
Do what you're supposed to fucking do. But no, we've got all this other shit focused on the freaking illegal aliens and on other wars and countries that we don't need to be messing with, that we've got, and we've run through our hurricane funds because we're spending it on shit we don't need to, and we've got so much. We've stretched ourselves so thin, and it's intentional, guys. I've said it before. It's been part of a slow crawl to a controlled collapse. And when stuff like this happens, this is horrible, and this is widespread. But imagine this spread out over most of the country. Okay, we are spread far too thin. We are the piece of bubble gum that has gotten a piece here and a piece here and a piece here and a piece here and a piece here. Now we have a stringy mess. And when we try to bring it back in, well, you can't really do that too well. It ends up being disgusting and non-functional. And that's what we're seeing, I think, when we have situations like this, where the people of this country are faced with a natural disaster. It is supposed to, it's not supposed to be this bad. It's not. But right now we're seeing it. We're seeing it, and part of it is we have to be, I think, as a people, we have to hold these people to account. And if that's simply at the ballot box, then it needs to be at the ballot box. There are other things that people can do. You can advocate, you can start causes, you can get the word out. As I've said multiple times, even if all you can do is talk about it, to have a conversation with people. Zuby actually had a post recently on X where he was mentioning that he felt a shift in the vibe, like in general, for people. And I brought up the fact that, I'm having conversations with people in real life now, serious topic conversations that wouldn't have happened 3 or 4 years ago because it was too taboo or it was too touchy. But people have gotten so pissed off. There's a scene from an old film or show, I can't remember what it was called, but it's like this anchor says, I want everybody to just go out to your windows and scream at the top of your lungs, I'm fed up and I'm not going to take it anymore. And then like everybody shouting, and then like it's just cool, this cool little clip. I don't know what the movie's called, but you might have seen it before.
I'm trying to remember which one it is.
You know what I'm talking about, though?
I noticed in the chat, Lord of the Ray mentioned going up to Asheville and seeing a concert at the Orange Peel. That picture of Wendy's is 2 blocks south of the Orange Peel. The main drag that the Orange Peel was on, coming right down there through Biltmore Avenue. That Wendy's was the one right there below. They had the McDonald's, the seafood place, and the little FedEx copy station, and that Wendy's right there. So that gives you an idea where we're at, right in the heart of downtown. Wow. That's the entrance to the Biltmore estate. I saw one picture and looking through, you could not see the gatehouse at the Biltmore estate. It's underwater. That's 15-foot tall building underwater.
Man. Lord Sterling
I'm
coming
watching
in
the chat here a little bit to see on the comments because and yes, there will be dead bodies. That's Buncombe County, last I heard, was the count was 75 that they had. They don't know how many they don't.
I thought the last I heard was 200 was the official number, but we know that's
that may be statewide.
And and with the amount of people that are missing. And real quick, I see Sterling came in the clutch here. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore. From Network 1971.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Lord Sterling. But yeah, it's the dead bodies is a thing. I did hear. I don't know if there's any validity to it, but I did see a thread on X that is purported to be a conversation from somebody on the ground, and in it, and they had like a meeting at like a city hall or something like that with some federal people that came in, and they were pretty much like, hey, we're going to go ahead and just be bulldozing everything, and we're not even going to be collecting the bodies. I hope to God, I pray to God that's not the case. I hope this is just
I had not heard that.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I think that sounds a little
Yeah.
bit too much. That doesn't
Yeah.
that is just a snippet that I saw on X. So huge grain of salt with that, and I am very skeptical of the this is fog of war type of stuff. There is going to be a
and
lot of
there's a lot of
information.
that. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of information flowing, and you need to vet it. And I tried my common practice for me is to get at least 4 to 5 sources corroborating something before I latch on to something and sink my teeth into it. So that's what I try to do. You do you, whatever you want, but I think that's a good measure if you've got at least 5 sources that are relatively trustworthy,
Right.
you know, that have a decent record. And I'm not talking about corporate media, by the way, because
Right.
they're going to lie to you every day. But I think that's a good way to go about it, and I hope that those reports are just spurious. I hope it's not. I hope it's not legit. I really
No.
hope that's not the case, because that's that's sacred. You don't you respect the dead.
I was gonna say, I think last I heard, state of South Carolina was in the mid 40s. I know our county was at like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Buncombe County, which is the county seat of Asheville, was at like 70, 75 confirmed. There was one county, and I'm not sure where it was, they mentioned that when the floodwaters started receding, let's see, I'll put it this way. If water is running through a fence or a tree or something else, it's kind of like a strainer, is what we call it.
Yeah.
When the water started receding, they found bodies in trees and in limbs and, just all over the place. And they said, they were trying to get people, like the ones who were not injured, get them out of there because they and their kids don't need to see this.
Yeah.
So again, when you've got interstate highways washed out, and I've also heard in a couple of groups that I've been trying to follow, what you're seeing right now from Asheville, from Buncombe County, from Swannanoa is amazing. It's awful. Those are the places that still have service and the ability to get something charged.
Yep.
You're going to find out down the line the places that they're still not at. They still don't have service. They still can't get anything charged. And it's going to be 100 times worse.
That's what I've been
That's
hearing.
why I said North Carolina, Western North Carolina, as bad as we've got it down here, a week plus without power. Oh, well, we lost what was in the fridge. There are people who lost families, houses, cars. Their business floated away.
Literally.
Yeah, they go back to their ice cream shop that they've run for, 2 generations of family, and the malt shop up in Chimney Rock, non-existent.
Yeah,
there's mud there.
So I got this clip here from the Lake Lure, North Carolina, where the South Carolina pilot was going in with his son to help some people out. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and we'll watch this briefly, and might pick your brain a little bit, Sully, after we get done watching it. And let's go ahead and pull it up here. Oh, there. All right, start sharing my screen because I'm going to narrate through it like a boomer. Why not?
Okay,
Shoots
and
from dead
after
air.
that, I'm going to tell you what I think of a certain fire chief.
And
Sweet. I'm going to go ahead and cut my camera off here.
Yep.
And let you stay on.
Oh, there we go. Appreciate you.
Let's see. There you go.
All right. Hey, I'm right on the edge. Perfect. Appreciate you, Sully. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play this real quick. This is a father and son team that are using their own private helicopter to help people out. And strangely enough, the efforts to help seem to being hindered for some strange reason. But let's give this a watch, about 5 minutes or so.
post that I was reading when I decided to go up and help. It's a long post, but she's saying that her kids and family and animals are trapped. No way out, no supplies, and the only way in or out is accessible by helicopter. Limited cell service and no water since Friday morning. I thought I have a helicopter and maybe I can help.
Jordan Sidham piled food and water into his helicopter Saturday and headed up toward Banner Elk, the only way through a mountain gap in Lake Lure.
This is the mountain valley that you would have to fly to get to Black Mountain, where we were escorting people out. This is a mountain range, and this is a mountain range. The only place to fly through with bad visibility, low cloud coverage, is Lake Lure.
The cries for help from people stranded without food, water, or electricity hit social media soon after the flooding last Friday.
But my parents are stuck there. Their address is Banner Elk. They are in the first condo. If you receive this, please give me a call back. Thank you.
Sidham's phone started lighting up on Saturday with people begging for help.
I could hear the desperation in her voice. This is multiple phone calls I've received like this, voicemails, text messages, and you could hear people desperate for help.
Sidham and his son rescued 4 people on Saturday and spent the night in a nearby pilot's lounge, then decided to fly again Sunday morning.
I spoke with my son, which is my co-pilot. I said, hey, do you want to go back out and try to help today? And his response was, there's so many messages, I don't think we can't not go help.
Sidham and his son were headed up to Black Mountain. Flight tracking shows no flight restrictions in place Saturday or Sunday morning when Sidham flew through the Lake Lure Gap. But that was all about to change. The Sidham spotted an older couple waving for help, then landed in what's left of their driveway.
Hey, I want you to let me get in. You step out and go out, help her in, put her bag in the back, get her strapped in. I'm going to take her down, come back. I'll take him, I'll come back, and then I'll get you, okay?
I originally left my son, co-pilot, on the side of the mountain. It was kind of unstable, so I didn't want to put more weight in the helicopter to lift back off. So I left my son with the other victim, and I was just going to take one person down at the time. And you could hear me in the video talking through with the victims and with my son what we're going to do.
3 minutes away, Sidham spotted a group of rescuers just down the river. He landed and found someone in charge.
Told him my background experience, law enforcement, firefighting, pilot. He immediately started helping with coordination. He gave me radio frequencies to coordinate with them on, set up a landing area for me to come back with the other victim. And in the middle of the whole conversation and then blocking the road off, I was greeted by the, at that time I didn't know, but Lake Lure fire chief or assistant chief maybe, and he shut down the whole operation. So at that point I felt like the conversation wasn't going any further. And again, he asked me to leave, and I said, hey, I have no problem getting out of your area. If that's what you want us to do, we'll leave, no issue. At that point, I asked him, what was the reason I had to leave them there? And he said, again, you're interfering with my operation. I just need you to get out of the area. I said, sir, I don't know where you were trained at, but I know how my training is, and I'm not going to leave personnel behind. I'm going back to get my co-pilot. He said, if you turn around and go back up the mountain, you're going to be arrested. I said, well, sir, I'm going back to get my co-pilot. I don't know what to tell you. And he said, I'm letting you know. And at that point, he waved for 2 law enforcement officers to come over and told me that again, if I go back up the mountain, I would be arrested.
He flew the 3-minute trip back, picked up his son, and left the woman's husband behind.
Sure, he was flooded with emotions and trying to rescue other people. And I just felt that it was best at the time to leave. So I did follow his instructions, and I had a conversation with the female victim before I left, apologized and explained, and she was standing there. She heard the whole conversation, and they were both very, very surprised, very upset. The husband, as I was leaving off of the side of the mountain, at that point, separated from his wife, he was upset. I can only imagine.
Sidham and his nearly 1,400 flight hours turned his chopper around and headed back to South Carolina, passing people waving for help along the way.
As I was actually leaving to go back to get my son, the original chief or captain that I spoke to, his crew and himself, they came back over and said, hey, man, we can't tell you to go get the victim. We can't even ask you to go get the victim, but we can tell you if you come back with the victim, we'll have you a designated landing spot, and they won't. We'll make sure they don't come over here.
So there was no flight restriction when you went in?
No flight restriction when I went in. It went in place 20 or 30 minutes after the confrontation with Mr.
You feel like that was coincidental, or do you think that was because of what happened?
I don't think it can be coincidental when there has not been one in place the day before doing rescue operations, the night of, the morning of, that took place after our altercation. I think there would have never been a TFR put in place had we not had that conversation. If I had to do it over again, I would have stopped and I would have rescued as many people until they decided they were going to arrest me.
All righty. You're muted.
Well, I was just saying that's insane, but I was about to say, go for it, Sully. What you got, man?
Okay. Just to, before I even dig into this, just to bring a little bit, I happen to have a picture up here on my bookshelf. I know a little bit about flying around in helicopters. Just a little bit about flying around in helicopters in my career. Might have done something in a helicopter a time or two. Might know a little bit about FAA regs. If I was that pilot, I would have smiled, looked at those deputies and said, until the FAA tells me I can't fly, if I'm over 20 feet off the ground, you have no authority whatsoever over me. That's federal airspace, and you're not a federal officer. So we're going to start with that.
Bam.
Once they put that TFR, temporary flight restriction, in, that's the FAA saying no joy. But until the FAA says it, no offense, deputy, you're out of your league.
Yeah.
You don't control the airspace, number one. Number two, I hope that fire chief finds himself in court. And I'll say this as someone who's been volunteer fire up there, and neighboring community to me. Neighbors just want to know it. We were mutual aid to them. I know those guys up at the Beacon plant. I went to the Beacon plant for plenty of alarms. This is the most asinine thing in the world. I don't know whether it's Little Dick syndrome or what. If I was the
measuring contest, it's a pathetic measuring contest.
If I was the white helmet chief on that scene, I'd be saying, God, help me any way you can. I am in so far over my head.
Yes.
If you've got a resource that I know damn well I don't have, what do you need?
Yeah.
You can do more than I can do on the ground. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, I think he said it well. If he had to do it again, they would have had to arrest him. I get at that moment, what am I doing? I'm in the middle of this. There's no excuse for the way he was treated, no reason for it whatsoever. And again, no offense to the deputies, they were trying to act on what the chief was saying, but they also need to learn their limitations. I'm qualified drone pilot, FAA qualified, and legitimately, I know, even with my drone, if I'm 25 feet or more off the ground, that's airspace. Deputies have no say.
No.
Unless it's a listed TFR. Now, where I can take off from and land, okay. But, like, let's say it's a drone-free zone. If I'm 1 foot outside it and I lift off and I go into it, their drone-free zone doesn't count because I'm not controlling it or flying it from their site. Because drones are considered FAA-regulated unmanned aircraft. UAS. It's unmanned airship. Law enforcement doesn't have a say-so. Now, they put in TFRs, temporary flight restrictions, over sporting events, things like that. Yeah. They can put it in over a fire or over something. But until the TFR, the flight restriction is in place, I got news for you. That's federal property up there. You don't have a say-so, sir. And like I said, that fire chief, I know his information has come out. I was looking for it to see if I can find it real quickly to post it in the chat. It was the chief of the Lake Laura Fire Department. I know that. And stupidest shit I've seen.
It's just like, what goes through your head? Like, what is going through your head other than you're just doing a dick measuring contest at that point. And
when he says you're interfering with my operation, how?
Exactly. Explain to me. Lay it out for me like I'm 6. Tell me how I'm interfering with your operation.
Life safety, property conservation, incident stabilization. which one of these am I doing
Hmm.
that's interfering with anything you're doing? I have an idea. Why don't you find a nice place that I can start landing with people and set up a medical triage there and stay the fuck out of my way? You know?
Yeah. It's a good one from Wiley Cody. Fire chief would probably say, "Hey, sometimes I'm a little wacky. You know, I'm a bit of a knucklehead, right?" Waltz, a little bit like
And I
Waltz.
misspoke, yeah.
Oh
This,
my goodness.
and you know, I get the fact that he's overwhelmed, he's totally out of control. He did something immensely epically fucking stupid.
Hmm.
And yeah, he's gonna pay his price for this down the
Oh
line.
yeah. Oh,
I
he will.
hope, you know, I hope by the end of it, it doesn't turn out that getting that, you know, cost people their lives.
Yeah.
Of getting out of there when they needed to.
That type of mentality could have absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
the poor wife. I mean, me as the damn husband, I'd have been, if you're not going to let me pick up the wife, hell, put me back on the mountain with her at that point. I mean,
Well, they got the wife out. They left the husband.
yeah, that's my thing. Is they said at the end though? They said at the end, we can't tell you to go back and get the victim, but if you did go back and get him, we'd have a spot for you. So maybe he was able to go back and get him. I don't know that little part at the end. I'm like, maybe he was able to go back and help the other victim. I don't know, but it's just insane. It's first of all, you try to tell me to leave my son up there, my child, my blood up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to kill me. You're
And
gonna have
see,
to kill me.
that's my other laugh in the whole thing, because he's assuming that me and my magical flying machine are going to come back anywhere near him.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? There's other places to land. And again, as long as you're not breaking a TFR, you know, it wasn't posted.
Yep.
Anything can fly into there. You know, and the fact that they then put one up, you know, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. Now, on the other side, and I don't know, just to totally try to give the benefit of the doubt, maybe there were a bunch of choppers coming in and out, and it was causing problems, and the fire chief was concerned about a, you know, air conflict. I don't know. But at that point, you can work through that. You can do with that.
Yeah.
You know, I've had wrecks where we've had 3-4 medical choppers coming in, and as long as they all know about each other, the pilots deconflict really well.
Yep, that's the thing. Just the communication, keeping the communication open, and instead of just shutting something down that is helping. That is much more reasonable. It sounds like, I mean, like I said, I don't know what he's going through. This fire chief said, but it sounds like he just had a major fuck up, and hopefully he can fix it and make it better. And they were able to help the people.
And I hope that chief gets removed from duty, because he never needs to run another op again.
No, because that's a horrible, it's just terrible leadership. Because here's the thing, as a leader, part of good leadership is being able to delegate when necessary. And this is clearly a situation where delegating tasks and responsibilities is integral to an effective operation. I mean, that just makes sense. Looks like I've got another clip here that I forgot. Oh my goodness. From InfoWars, Owen Schroyer posted this a little bit ago. Little 2-minute clip coming directly from the victims of the hurricane, and some pretty dramatic footage. So let's go ahead and watch this one real quick, and then probably wrap this topic up. We've gone for about an hour just on this. Sully, thank you so much for your expertise and your perspective on this topic, for sure. I mean, you're right there, and you're not in the thick of it, but you're in the part of it, and you got some good knowledge of what's going on in the area. So I definitely appreciate you, bud.
Well, that's why when we talked about it, it's like, if you're doing anything on the hurricane tonight, and then you said the hurricane and gun stuff, I said,
yep.
Oh, okay.
It's like, this is Sully's, this is his bread and butter, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and watch this little clip from Owen Schroyer. He posted this. This is from the victims themselves, and man.
And I decided we were going to head up the more eastern part of Tennessee, try to help out. And I mean, FEMA, which is like the Tennessee FEMA, apparently they're being like a lot more strict. And I mean, essentially just talking to a bunch of cars, just wanting the supplies like to get directly dropped off to them. And which we held on to, but I mean,
That's
and
Madison County.
they're saying that nobody needs to go up there. So, I mean, it's just blatant. I mean, like you said, we have two hands. I mean, we're not rich or anything like that, but I mean, we were just going to go up, and I said, we'll know what to do when we get up there. But I mean, just getting turned away. So, I mean, the word around here is just you got to try to stay away from FEMA, and you got to try to help out and get it to a church. So essentially they're saying that they're going to hold on and disperse the supplies the way that it needs to be done, and also for future weather events. And it's like, this is a once in a history thing. Like, there's people that need it right now.
It seems to be like FEMA is turning people away at the scene. They did it to me. I luckily knew some locals in the area that are helping me get stuff in. I know there's citizens that are going on horseback. There are citizens that are walking in. I know for one instance in Irwin, there are people that are walking 5-10 miles trying to get into the areas. And there has been threats of arrest and things going on that just do not add up. So I don't really know. I'm going back this weekend. I got a truck full of stuff. I'm out in Middle Tennessee, but just trying to get resources into the area is becoming harder and harder. And it seems like FEMA and TEMA in particular are really just being a roadblock. And they're also pulling off teams that were there at the beginning at ground zero when it started, and some of these volunteer fire departments, they're pulling them off and telling them to stand down. So
that's just insane. He brought something up. He brought something up, the horseback thing. I actually had a little clip here saved in my. There we go. This guy right here. This special. This is the type that convoy. All the little donkeys or mules. That's impressive right there.
Better be careful posting this. Tim Walz get all excited.
Tim Walz get a little hitch in his giddy up watching this one, huh?
He'd be like, "Oh wow, you look at that piece of ass." Anyway,
yes, but I think that's pretty much the video there. That is just that's a small example right there. He was talking about he knew some locals to get some workarounds, some people getting supplies in on horseback.
Yeah,
that when shit hits the fan. That's when you're going to see stuff. That's when you're going to see stuff. People hopefully come together. You're going to see people get crazy. Don't get me wrong. You're going to have retards get together and start trying to loot businesses and things like that. I think they arrested 15 illegal aliens that had been released into the country. They were going around and looting things. That's a good way to get a brass solution, in my opinion.
That was, I believe, in Tennessee.
Yep.
Yeah. I know that the sheriff in Greenville County, the county one above me, made the comment that if you want to go out and try to break in and loot these businesses, a lot of these store owners are staying in their stores and they're well armed. And if you decide you want to go out and try your luck, that they and the coroner's office would be more than happy to take care of it. That EMS was already too busy and they weren't even going to bother calling them for you.
Nope. We'll just go ahead and let you feed some worms.
Yep. So now that looked like it was mostly Tennessee. There may have been a little bit of Madison County, North Carolina. That's the county north of Buncombe on the Tennessee line. It looked like one of them might have been Main Street, Madison County. It was hard to tell. It looked like it though.
Yeah.
Again, when you look at the sheer volume of what this is, any county or any state can get hit. Georgia's got major wind damage. South Carolina, about a third of our states got major wind damage. We've still got lines down around today. I mean, when they were saying Friday night they'd have our power, I doubted it. When I went to Walmart today, I passed 5 or 6 places where I was driving over down power lines, still driving around trees. Now, this is from a storm that hit Friday morning. And the thing, I will say this. If I had to try to give FEMA the benefit of the doubt, and I'm not trying to say they're right bang, the one thing they do try to do is coordinate supply drops so you don't have 10 little relief points all over the place. You've got one, so people know the one place to go. They're not going to the place that has toilet paper, but they're out of water and go somewhere else to try to get a tarp or somewhere else to try to get food or ice, you know. So they do try to coordinate and organize it a little bit. And that's the most charitable I can be. I try to be fair and balanced.
Yeah, I got you.
The thing is, you know, so if they say, okay, bring everything to us at one point and we'll make sure what we have and what we don't have, it tries to avoid duplication of resources. You know, because if at your church you've got 47 pallets of water but no tarps, and at our church we're almost out of water but we've got lots of toilet paper and tarps, and then there's the church up the road that's got all the food but it's perishable, but you need the ice that you've got.
Yeah.
So again, maybe. But, you know, and I'll also say that any county emergency management could not have planned for this.
Yeah.
You know, we discussed it last night. I have not in our county seen half. I've not seen a quarter this bad. Our county emergency management's getting lambasted by everyone on Facebook who's home pissed off because they've got no power. Well, why didn't they plan for this? Because it's never happened here in 25 years.
Yeah.
You know, how about that? So, you know,
I mean, this is like a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where it's like people are like, you know, I did hear someone saying, you know, why weren't the emergency you know, why weren't emergency crews better prepared? And it's like, this is something that nobody saw coming, at least in this area like this. They didn't expect it. And that's why, you know, you go back to some of this, it's just too convenient. Some of the things that have lined up. And, you know, we can get into looking into it later, you know, on after the people are helped, because the biggest thing is making sure that the people get help.
And
you know,
and I agree. Paul McGroin, scariest word you can hear is "I'm from the government. I'm here to help." Yeah. But the thing is, you know, FEMA in this one, and I've taken classes in emergency management. 0 to 12 hours theoretically, you're on your own. 12 hours to 48 hours are a local management problem or a state management problem. 48 to 72, FEMA assets will start arriving. You know, FEMA is wonderful, but it takes them a while to get up to speed.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as if you're driving a Porsche, you got a Porsche, you're going to go 0 to 60 real quick, but you ain't never going to tow a boat with it. You're driving my Durango, I can tow a boat with it. Now, you'll dust me speed-wise with the Porsche, but I'm going to have the suitcases and tow the pontoon boat. Now, if you want the truckloads of supplies and everything else, that's a 48 to 72 hour arrival. It's just sheer volume to get it moving. You know, our USAR task force personnel, they're on 12-hour recall. So from the time our USAR Urban Search and Rescue Task Force, State Task Force gets launched, they've got 12 hours to be at the base in Columbia. And then they're going to do a pre-check and go out on the road. So they get there, check in, do the pre-check, check all the gear, make sure everything's ready. You don't want to show up with empty chainsaws or bad spark plugs, whatever. And then when they deploy, they're going there in, you know, big tricked out Suburbans or 4-wheel drive trucks with 18-wheelers following them, let's say like SCTF1 on it. That's great. That's wonderful. But it takes a while to get that up and motivated.
Yeah.
You don't get a busload of personnel like that. Because 9 times out of 10, you're pulling off other agencies. Now, to my knowledge, we might have sent some of our Swiftwater assets up there. We did not send a lot of assets out of state. We've got National Guard. It took the 3rd day to get the National Guard here. They're out in our area now with chainsaw crews because and heavy equipment, because you've got trees that are as big as you and me put together across a roadway. You don't cut that with a standard chainsaw. And even
No.
if you do, you can't move it with a standard chainsaw.
No. I was you mentioned the National Guard, and I do have a buddy in the National Guard. He's actually a guy I went to the concert with, that Falling in Reverse concert a couple of weekends ago with, and he said we were talking about the fact that it's crazy that you've got the National Guard, and their priority is supposed to be helping the people in this country. That should be the priority, right?
Yeah.
Not going and sending them over to these other fucking areas.
Right.
But he said 19 states activated their National Guard to help. Looks like Biden finally authorized 1,000 active duty troops and airmen to assist. So at least that is something. But the thing is, we shouldn't be surprised by that. That should be expected. That shouldn't be oh well, hey, at least they're doing something, kind of. No, we shouldn't be in this mentality. And God bless the people that are in these roles.
Look, first of all, they had to wake Joe up.
Yeah. He doesn't. What storm? What storm?
Then they were trying to tell him what was going on, and he was too busy watching Matlock.
He's
Then he sat there and goes, "Oh, I think Joey made a boom boom," and they had to call in the night nurse, but she's out campaigning for vice president. So I mean, you got a problem here. Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
I get the fact that we're at FEMA is never going to be a first responder. It's not designed that way.
Nope.
It's designed to be the massive wave that comes in. Local agency handles it for 12, 0 to 12, you're on your own. 12 to 36, 48, it's local municipals. 36 to 48, out to about 48, 72 is statewide resources. And then FEMA comes in for the long haul.
Yeah.
Because again, you can get your church activated on a 10-person call list, 15-person call list, and be unlocking a door in an hour to start a shelter. But you don't have the supplies to manage that shelter for a month.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's definitely it's a complex situation for sure. But it is frustrating.
And I know one thing I'm going to be definitely doing in the aftermath of this on probably on Real Hard Truths. I'm going to be doing a lot about personal prep stuff and everything else.
Smart.
I am far from a doomsday prepper, but having not only worked a lot of frontline incidents, Opal, my brother worked Katrina. I've worked, different storms over the years. Again, you've got 0 to 12, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And I say that as someone who works 911, someone who has spent hundreds of hours in ambulances, fire trucks, and everything else. Our county, we've got 5 ambulances to cover 720 square miles. If we can't even get from point A to point B, we can't be there for you. I'm sorry. We'd love to. I know the county had to pull ambulances off the road, some here in the early morning hours Friday, because we had sustained winds of like 50 to 60 miles an hour, gusting up to 80. Ambulances were blowing off the roadway.
Yeah.
Again, we look at the firefighters who were killed down below here. The laws of physics apply to us too. People need to be resilient and at least know, okay, I got at least 0 to 12. I'm going to plan for 24 hours. Help ain't coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not all doomsday prepper, and I'm not working for the zombie apocalypse. You can go that deep if you want. But A, be realistic about what your preparedness level is. And B, be realistic about what you can expect from us.
Yeah.
I can't get you an ambulance there in 3 seconds.
Yep.
Right now, if you called 911 and said, hey, someone's breaking in the house, a cop's not going to pull up in 27 seconds. It ain't going to happen.
Yep, that's where you got to have that's why you got to have your own.
That's why we train.
Yes, exactly. I actually got some good training in with my brother the other day. I went over to his house and it was rain. It started raining on the way over there, so we had to do it from his porch. But we got some training in. Did a little shooting some skeet too. Had a little break action, a little 20 gauge that I've had. It's a junior actually, a little 20 gauge I've had since I was like 9, and we were going out there just trying to shooting clay pigeons, but and also just breaking my handgun. Getting my handgun out, practicing with my tools, and it was definitely needed, and I got a pretty decent tight little pattern that I got with my handgun, and what would be
Nice.
typical of your usage distance, anyways. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
definitely important to practice with your tools. If you don't practice with your tools, you
Mhm.
get rusty. So it's good to do. Good to do, especially in situations like this when you have societal breakdown, and in situations like a hurricane, like a severe natural disaster like this, there is going to be some of that. And like we were talking about earlier, sometimes you got to feed the worms, and you don't want to, but if somebody's going to fuck around, they're going to find out. That's just kind of how it is. But I saw a comment earlier in the chat here. Someone something about Biden doesn't know the difference between missile strikes and strikes at the port, and that kind of, I think that's a good transition into our next
True.
topic. The Sandbox is on fire again, guys.
Yeah.
Israel
It's-
has been
well,
struck by
The
Iran.
fire has grown. It's been on fire forever.
It's
but
been on fire.
It's flared up again.
It's been on fire. Yeah, the Sand folk guys, they are mad at each other again, and it's on a more official capacity with Iran officially launching strikes and not using their proxies. From the sound of it, Israel has had some. Israel, I'm not on either side. If I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick the one that doesn't necessarily want to. I don't want to pick one, honestly. Fuck them both. I don't care. Screw it. Don't care. We don't need to mess with them. I don't want to send any money over there. I don't want to send any troops over there. I don't want to send any weapons over there. They're big boys and girls. They can handle their own shit. You have two cousins that have been fighting for millennia. Let them finally finish it. I don't care at this point if one of them wants to nuke the other one. Just go ahead and do it. Get it the fuck over with. And you know what? We'll deal with the fallout, literally and metaphorically, after that. Just fucking finish it. Rip the Band-Aid off and get it done with. You're going to have less suffering and less trouble in the end if you just go ahead and do it. Just do it. But we don't want it to stop. Our government doesn't want it to stop. We want instability in the Middle East because it's good for us.
But on the other side of the coin, also we have to realize that if Kamilama said that she'd lose the Minnesota vote from the she'd lose the Hamas caucus, so to speak.
The Somalis, the Ilhan Omar caucus.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. She
personally, I don't necessarily know. I've been over there. I did a little brief stay in Israel for several hours as a guest of the IDF. We were doing some stuff over there, coming back from dropping some things off. And, we had some issues and went, stopped there for a little while.
I have many questions, Sully. I have many questions. I don't know. You're being very vague here, but I don't know how much you can divulge if it's actually working with the IDF.
I can pretty much divulge anything that's been long enough in the background.
All right.
But yeah, I worked for I worked for a private military contractor. And if you think back, maybe 25, 26 years ago when I still lived up in North Carolina before I moved down here, people were really worried about some kind of something or other with a computer because older computers weren't up for something.
The Y2K stuff?
What?
Little Y2K kind of stuff?
And so a lot of computers around the world needed to be swapped out and upgraded. And so, you figure a lot of things are computer controlled, and yet they didn't want to use any flagged transport. So if you're on a Brazilian flagged aircraft doing cargo security as a medic on your team, and you're not carrying any ID, and you've got NATO rounds, you see where I'm at. Yeah. But when you go over certain places, pilots can only go so long or be in the air so long. And between picking us up and picking things up and dropping things off, you might have to stop somewhere and swap out a pilot crew. But if the other pilot crew got in delayed or late because of weather, they've got to have so many hours off until they can fly again. Think of CDL kind of thing.
Yeah.
They can fly so long, they've got to have X rest And so suddenly you end up with like a 7-hour rest break when you're swapping out pilots at a friendly country.
Mhm.
And rather than let us bake our brains on the tarmac sitting on the plane because we had already dropped off the good stuff, the new stuff,
Mhm.
and all of our stuff was taken care of, they arranged to have the stuff that we were picking up, or the stuff we had picked up prior to landing there,
Mhm.
guarded by IDF, and they let us get off the plane and go into town with them.
That was nice of them.
Yeah, well, they're an ally.
Yeah.
And I will say, it's a different world.
Yeah.
I would love to, at some point, have a chance to go back once things get a little bit more stabilized. That being said, it is the only thing over there that is anything close to a civilized Western democracy.
Part of that's orchestrated though, because like if you look back in the back before the mullahs took over in Iran, that was largely a secular society where women actually had rights until
back when it was Persia,
our intel agencies came in and fucked things up. So it's like I am very, very mad, raging mad at how our government infiltrates these areas, destabilizes, and then dips the hell out. What was it? Gladio, Sally, Talk with Sally was covering, had a whole series on that she was going through with Colonel, can't think of her last name, but she had a lot of information into the forces that we leave behind in areas that we destabilize. And the Middle East is one big clusterfuck of destabilization from Western influence. If you think about it, it's, and looking at what, I don't have a problem necessarily with the Israeli people, except the ones that hate Christians just because we're Christians. Those people can go fuck off, but I also will pray for them because I'm a Christian. That's what I do. But the government of Israel does some things that I abhor, just like I love America, but I hate our federal government. Just like I had issues with the Chinese Communist Party. And that's the distinction that a lot of people end up getting mixed up. They think that if you're criticizing Israel, you're mad at the Jews. No. Or you're mad at the Chinese folk, or you're mad at this or that. You're not. I'm not mad at the people necessarily. What I'm mad at is the structures of authority that end up being forces for evil. And there are a lot of times when you see it. It was with our government, with the Israeli government. Netanyahu, shortly before October 7th, was looking at possibly being booted out. And then conveniently, just people on paragliders show up and come in and kill a bunch of Israelis. And it's just mighty fucking convenient.
True.
Mighty convenient to then be the excuse to go ahead and go full out and do what they did in Gaza, which it just do. If you're gonna do it, don't manufacture something and lose civilians to justify it. If you want to do it, just fucking do it. Go in and do what you need to do and get out. I'd much rather, and I'm not gonna lie, I'd much rather have, even though I don't like the Israeli government, I'd rather have them over Hezbollah or the freaking what the hell's the apparatus? Hamas.
Yeah.
Now,
well, you've got Hamas in Gaza. You've got Hezbollah up in the south end of Lebanon. You've got the Houthis out of Yemen who are still going after American troops right now. They're still going after American shipping right now. And then you've got Iran over there that's funding all the fucking above.
Yes. Saying Glant, Joe isn't streaming tonight. Screw the juice.
Why is Joe not streaming tonight? Yom Kippur?
Well, it's Rosh Hashanah? Is that what it is?
It's Rosh Hashanah. Jewish
so I think it's Rosh Hashanah, yeah. I'm actually picking
Jewish
up
New
on
Year.
some Jewish lingo from watching Joe. Oh, no. Oh, man, Joe's a good guy. Joe's a good guy.
Yeah, Joe's from up in New York. He's from up in my homeland. Yeah.
There you go. The homeland.
I pick on him sometime. You're up there on my traditional homeland.
There you go.
But,
we got a little article that I was going to kind of look through, and it's actually got some snippets, some footage, so we can see some fireworks. It's actually really good
happy
stuff
New Year to you, Neurodivergent one.
Yeah. Happy New Year, Zeus. But I'm gonna pull up this article here. It's actually from NPR, so there are going to be times that we may pick this apart as is custom. I will hold the bias to account. So let's go ahead and pull this article up here. Just talking about how Iran's missile strike on Israel appears to have hit some targets. First of all, really cool picture there. Not gonna lie, just some good footage. Don't get me wrong, I don't want people to die, but it looks nice. Ooh, pretty lights and big explosions! Yay! I'm an American.
I just wish it was in Minecraft. I can go with
in
that.
Minecraft. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Iran's strike on Israel appears to have been more effective at reaching its targets than an attack in April of this year. Videos posted on social media and geolocated by NPR and the online investigations group Bellingcat show multiple warheads landing around two Israeli air bases, Nevatim Air Base and in the south of the country and Tel Naf Air Base in central Israel. One video filmed near Tel Naf also appeared to show possible secondary explosions, indicating that ammunition or fuel may have been struck by a missile. Videos also showed warheads landing in northern Tel Aviv, near the headquarters of Israel's intelligence agency, Mossad. Those warheads appear to have missed their targets and did not inflict any real damage. One video showed a large crater about 500 yards from the spy agency's headquarters. Got a little video here. It's going to take me away from it, though. But we'll go back. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're coming down. One just about. We got to go inside.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have been on the roof with that going on. Do you, Sully?
Well, the weird part is between, the Iron Dome and David Sling, they're sending 150, 200 missiles and maybe 3 or 4 are hitting, And again, this is where the people over there, not the people in the military, not the IDF, not the government, the people on the ground have been living with missiles coming in since basically a year or more.
Yep.
That being said, I can honestly say this, and I know some people might get upset with me for the Gaza, what I'm about to say, but if Mexico was launching missiles like this into Texas and or California, 100 missiles a month coming in and literally kids running to bomb shelters every day, the Marines would have marched to Mexico City and gone scorched earth months ago.
And that's the problem, though. It seems like by going lukewarm, instead of just going full on hot war, this lukewarm approach never gets anything cooked. Okay. It just lets it set and fester and rot and stagnate. That's what the lukewarm approach does. Literally, you have stagnating bodies.
Right. And unfortunately, that is, I think some of it is a product of our administration. Again, our administration, does not want to come right out and pull the trigger on anything. They're willing to pull the gun, they're willing to aim at it, but they're not willing to put one in the chamber or fire it.
Unless you're an American citizen, then they'll go ahead and do that.
Right. But that's beside the point. Brian Malinowski not available for comment. But anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm just coming to the point of, if right after October 7th had happened, the president of our country had come out and said, you know what, this is disgusting, this is ridiculous, there's no way this should be allowed to go on. We back Israel and whatever they need to do to ensure that it never happens again, including if that means wiping Hamas off the planet. And oh, by the way, if anyone else tries to take up for Hamas, we're going to take it as an act against us. And this could be done very quickly.
That's the point, though. That doesn't allow for those dollar signs, like Slyant just put in the chat. That doesn't. It's the Hegelian dialectic. You shout about the issue, you read about the issue, but when in reality you're actually fueling the issue so that you can continue the cycle. You're the firefighter that's going around starting fires.
Right.
it's
Or just taking your sweet time putting it out so you can make a little overtime.
yeah.
And Lord of the Ray, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Damn. That's some crazy stuff. I don't know if it's going to get into the specifics of the numbers of missiles that were fired, but it says experts show that the attack was somewhat more successful than the one in April, almost completely neutralized by Israel and American air defenses. I remember watching that when I was actually doing a stream whenever that was happening, and people were like, "Oh, well, hey, World War III is kicking off." I'm like, "Yeah, hopefully not." But it looks like more missiles seem to be hitting targets in Israel this time around. Jeffrey Lewis, a professor at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey, California. It could be in part due to the Iranians seem to be using newer and more sophisticated missiles. Well, that, and like we were talking about earlier, you do the scattershot approach, and eventually, just based on statistics, percentage-wise, something's going to get through. I mean, it's not a perfect, impenetrable dome. It's good, but it's not perfect.
And they're doing just the missile version of spray and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're sitting there with their Glocks with their switches and they're just spraying out, missiles. Yeah. According to BBC, it looks almost 200 were sent on Tuesday night.
Yep. That's what I was thinking.
Most were intercepted. A small number struck central and southern Israel. Yeah. More than 180, less than 200.
Yeah.
Could you imagine raising your kids, having 5 minutes to get to the shelter 2-3 times a month?
Yeah.
Or being one of the 10,000 people who have been dispossessed from their house since October 7th in the North End.
Yeah. Sterling, praying for your friend, man. He said his best friend lives there, so he doesn't actually want to nuke it, but let's invade and liberate. Praying for your friend, man. Hopefully he doesn't end up mixed up in any of this bullshit.
Where's Sterling's friend live? I didn't catch it.
I think I'm guessing in Israel. If I was
Israel,
I'm thinking either Israel or
it could be
maybe Iran.
Gaza.
Could be Iran too.
Could be.
There's good folks. Here's the thing. There's good folks.
The human beings are not the bad ones.
No.
In fact, Iran.
Well, when you get into the government, you cease being a human and you turn into a lizard person. I understand.
Exactly. Now, I will say this: in Iran, I'm going back way back, 2nd, 3rd grade in school. I had 2 kids in my school whose parents were Iranian diplomats. She was in my class. He was a year ahead of me, or he was like 2 years older than me, but only a year ahead of me in school. And we all hung out. They lived fairly near me. And right when the embassy fell in Iran under the 100-year-old peanut farmer in Georgia, they had to go back. And I mean, they disappeared.
Oof.
But we used to all hang out.
Yeah.
They were trying to figure out what hockey was, That was it. I mean, seriously, they didn't understand hockey or baseball or stuff like that. But they were in the moderate side of the Iranian government. Their dad was.
I think Sterling was actually meaning Canada. He had a friend in Canada, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I missed something.
I've got a couple of friends in Canada.
Okay, still, I'm praying for your friends in Canada. I hope they don't get mixed up in any of that crazy bullshit up in our hat.
Okay, we need to rescue Holly from Real Housewives of Alberta. We need to rescue Runkle.
Ian Runkle, yes.
Yes. We need to rescue Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
And make your bed.
I think Ben might have him under lock and key right now. Maybe, I don't know.
He goes back and forth. I know that.
Oh, he travels.
We need to rescue Gad Sad.
Yeah.
From I mean, I can name about 20 Canadians worth salvaging.
Yeah.
Lauren Southern.
They have good hunting up there. I'll say that.
Oh yes.
I mean, I've heard. I can't say, but I've got an uncle that went did some moose hunting. Or no, was that in Alaska? Is either Alaska or Canada that he was doing some moose hunting. That's some good stuff. Good kills. But and the fishing, I hear the fishing up there is amazing as well. But we just need to go ahead and annex Canada. We need to annex Canada, kick Trudeau out,
with that.
Little Junior Castro Jr. there's no way that man is not actually Castro's son. It is too eerily similar. And the fact that his mom and dad literally were like swingers with Castro, like,
Yeah.
there was a mix up with the baby gravy. I'm just saying.
Look, I still think we could come up with something for him to do here.
Yeah.
We really could.
Maybe he can handle the horses that Tim was handling.
Well, I was thinking he could actually be Timmy Walz's official tampon tester for all the boys' runs.
There we go. Oh, looks
'Cause
like
you can't tell me that bitch has an Audi.
Nope. Gosh, Canada's in such it's got troubles. It looks like apparently this report saying that no actual aircraft were hit, but there were some military bases that were damaged in Israel, and apparently no declined to comment on casualties resulting from the strike. Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner said in a briefing on social media on X, "We don't want to tip off Iran. Our Air Force and Air Force bases remain operational." Man, yeah, it wasn't good. But better missiles and so that just bigger, faster, stronger type of thing.
I think at the press conference he said something to the extent of, "Oy vey, will you look at all the fucking missiles?
What are we talking about? All this noise, all this commotion.
Fucking
Come on
missiles. It's almost the new year. We should save the fireworks for tomorrow." We're sure
Gosh,
but yeah, honestly, again, even if nothing had happened, if Mexico or Canada sent 180 missiles into our country,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but we'd be just dragging Justin Trudeau out by the hoo-ha right now. There'd be a Marine pick him up like a six-pack. Anyway.
Yeah. It looks like apparently in this latest attack Iran used new solid propellant missiles that are more accurate, he says. Lewis and other researchers say at least some of the missiles used appeared to be Iran's newest design, the Fatah, a medium-range ballistic missile that may have a degree of maneuverability as it enters the atmosphere. Interesting. Allowing it to alter course and avoid interceptor missiles. So it's not just go in one direction. It might have a little bit of wiggle to it. Footage from yesterday's strike show the launch of what appear to be either the Kabarsakan 2 or Fatal 1 solid propellant missiles. Let's take a look at this real quick. Oh, there. I'm going to have to go back now. Dang it.
But yeah, with all that being said, I can say this, the Iron Dome, the David Sling, all the Israeli missile defenses and all the stuff that we've helped them with, and whether it's theirs or ours or whatever, in truth, that stuff has saved Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran's butt.
Yeah.
Because it is the only thing that keeps Israel from having to go back scorched earth.
Yeah.
If their citizens, if the 180 missiles and 100 hit their targets, the outcry the next day would be, let's take Iran off the face of the earth. And Iran might be close to having a program, but Israel's got a program.
Do they actually officially say that they have a nuclear program? Have they actually admitted that, or they still act like they kind of play coy with that? We know they do, but they officially, I don't know if they actually say it.
Exactly, Lord Sterling. Space lasers for the win.
Yes.
I can say, when you look at, like, let's say, Lebanon, and I hate to be like this, but, or whether it's Gaza or Iran, if the IDF ramped up to full capacity, Lebanon would be a 2-week conquest.
Yeah. So, well, I mean,
now the thing is, you'd be taking fire from Iran on your backside. So they're getting hit from 4 or 5 directions.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the big guy It's like the bull getting attacked by a bunch of coyotes, right? Eventually they focus all the attention on the one. Well, okay, you might get that one, or you might hurt that one quite a bit, but then you have four other ones that are on your back.
Yeah.
Bit onto your freaking balls and ripped a tendon out or something like that off of a leg. And it's like, so it's a tough one for sure. But you're talking about the kind of escalation and the response there. It's kind of where this article kind of ends off here. Despite the attempts to control escalation, Israel is likely to respond with force, says Tom Caraco, director of the Missile Defense Project at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Following the April attack, Israel knocked out an air defense radar near Iran's nuclear facilities in Natanz, he points out. That limited attack was designed to send a message.
Yes.
The Israelis can penetrate Iranian airspace. They've demonstrated that time and time again, he says. They can bring the hurt to Iran. Lerner, Israel's military spokesperson, suggested that it would only be a matter of time before the nation struck back directly against Iran. One ballistic missile is an unacceptable reality for any sovereign state, he told reporters. 180 means that there will be consequences. So they're not playing around now. And at this point, let's just go ahead and let it loose. Go freaking ham and get it done.
You remember back, the story has gone around all over the place now about when Trump was meeting with some of the idiots over in Afghanistan. And they were talking back and forth about this. And he's like, oh, by the way, you do anything more to one U.S. serviceman, it's going to be very bad for you. And I said, what do you mean? And he pulled a picture out and he handed the guy a satellite photo of his house. He said, what's this supposed to mean? He said, you figure it out.
Why do you show me a picture of your house? I think you'll have to figure that out.
You figure that out. Okay.
Yeah. That's a Chad move. It's a Chad move.
And the thing is, if when all this had started, we had anything in that area of the world is peace through strength. Showing signs of weakness to a bully just draws fire. And when all this had started, Israel said, we're going to start doing this, this, and this in the Gaza Strip. And at that same point, the U.S. had come out and said, oh, by the way, just to let you know, they're going to do what they need to do to deal with this problem. Stay away from them. Let them go. Let them go.
That'd have been something.
But we don't, exude strength.
Not right now, we don't. Right now, we don't. But
he's lucky
hopefully
he can exude his diapers. Anyway.
It exudes into them. Yes. The Sandbox is definitely in a bit of turmoil. A lot of firepower being used over there. And speaking of fire,
the stats I heard were correct, there were more Iranians killed by the Iranian missiles than Israelis.
That's shooting yourself in the foot.
They had a couple misfire on the pad and wiped people out. The 5 or 6 people died that were Iranians launching misfires on the pad, failure. Boom.
I imagine Benny Hanna music playing to that.
Benny Hanna?
The slapstick comedy. Like the old, like the black. Not Benny Hanna. Benny. What is it called?
Benny Hill.
Benny Hill, not Benny Hanna. My bad.
And the music,
Benny Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, this yakety sax.
Yeah, there we go. Yep, that's what I imagine playing. Exactly. I looked this up the other day. I can't believe I still got it wrong.
Did you ever see that old cartoon of the Iranian missile launcher? It showed a camel squatting down with a missile going out of his mouth.
No.
And then behind him, there was like a stump there that the camel was sort of leaning back against. And his sack was very clearly visible on it. And then there's 2 guys in sheets with hammers ready to go like that. Yeah. That's nice. Iranian missile launcher.
Oh, man. But yeah, a lot of firepower going on there in the Middle East. Speaking of firepower and weapons, let's go ahead and transition into our next story about
We can do that.
Reuben King,
I know a
a
little bit about guns.
peaceful Amish farmer
Yes.
in Pennsylvania who happens to sell guns on the side. It's not his main area of business. It's not. But we've got a brief article that I think, actually, with the time that we have, I might not be able to go into it specifically and read through the article. So what we can kind of do is maybe talk about it in general. This Amish farmer, again, this is not his main business, selling guns, but he has sold quite a few guns over the years. And the Pennsylvania apparatus apparently has beef with the Amish. They don't like Amos Miller for his raw milk. They don't like this guy for just selling guns, being a private seller, right? And there are some interesting constitutional arguments that say that licensure isn't necessary and honestly isn't required. That's kind of that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from their legal kind of pushback against what the verdict ended up being. So they ended up getting convicted. And they're in appeal right now, so I don't believe he's in jail or anything like that because there's the appeal process. But thankfully, Robert Barnes decided to step in and offer some assistance legally. But just before we get into the Viva Barnes clip, solely in your cursory glance at the issue, what were your kind of thoughts there?
Okay. Under the old, long-standing ATF rule, selling firearms, you did not have to be ATF licensed or FFL licensed to do that, provided you were not doing it as your primary business. You could sell your personal collection. You know, I could sell to anyone I darn well pleased as long as I don't know them to be a prohibited possessor. Now, if my neighbors comes out and says, hey, man, you know, can I buy something from you, or you got any guns you want to sell? And I know he just got out of the joint. No, I can't sell to anyone I know is a prohibited possessor. But private sales do not require an FFL, any ATF licensing, or anything else. That's South Carolina law. Your state laws kind of vary and differ. The charges, from what I was read, they were going after him on was for selling a bunch of guns, not being a dealer. But yeah, exactly. It's like someone said in the chat there, he was a collector. Yeah. This is very much the same situation as the Brian Malinowski case. He was an airport executive who, you know, sold a bunch of guns and collected and worked on a bunch of guns on the side. Therefore, he was not doing this as his primary source of income. He was doing this to, you know, enhance his personal collection. That's the verbiage they use in the legals.
He's the guy that they ended up shooting in his house, didn't they?
Yeah, he's the guy
they raided
shot.
him at like 5 a.m. or something like that. And
6:45 a.m., put tape on the cameras because he was a illegal gun dealer. Now, his case, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to really read up on this Amish dude, but he's a cattleman. Yeah. I don't think he was. I know for a fact Brian Malinowski did not do anything that broke the law, number one. Number two, they weren't even there with an arrest warrant. They were there to search for business records. They had a warrant to search for business records.
Interesting.
And went through the door and killed him within seconds of going through the door. Yeah, I've got a whole rant on that. From time to time, I'll do a weekend night stream where I mix some adult beverages with my opinion. And if you can guess how snarky and outspoken I am when I'm sober, it gets fun. But no, this one, under federal law, he's got two big issues. There are two big appealable points. Number one, there was never a set number of guns you had to sell or not sell to be a dealer. That's his first great argument. It says, and again, I pulled the stats up here, you know, as noted above, if you're repetitively buying and selling firearms to predominantly earn a profit, in quotes, you must be licensed. To predominantly earn a profit. Now, if he had people in his community who didn't want to go into town. And so he went into town and bought things for them. And they didn't want to go through a background check or deal with the government or deal with the store. And they sent him to town to buy stuff for them. And then he sells it. He's not doing it to earn a profit if he sells it equal.
Yep, exactly.
Number one, so that would be an opening. Number two, was he doing it even if he earned $3 a piece or $10 a piece, covers buggy fuel, his horse pellets, whatever. You know what? It still doesn't really show like he's doing it predominantly to earn a profit as a business or anything like that.
Yeah.
And again, horse trading, trading for supplies, hey, I've got, a gun, can I trade it for, whatever for the farm?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I need to buy some meat from you. You're a cattleman. Can you take these shotguns on trade? That is this first thing. He was not doing it, buying and selling for predominantly to earn a profit. He wasn't running, at least from anything I've read in the suit, a gun store.
Yeah.
He was, doing out of the house for friends and family.
Yeah. Yeah. And
number two,
go ahead.
Appealable point. In order to get your FFL, you have to have pictures on file at the ATF. Okay. They do not pose for pictures. The Amish.
Nope.
It's part of their religion.
Exactly.
So now I'm going to say this. This would be the equivalent of me telling Muhammad, if you want to get this permit to sell guns, you need to sit down and eat that bacon, egg, and cheese.
Yeah.
This would be the equivalent of telling, Catholic, you've got to support abortion.
Yeah.
You have to violate one of the tenets of your religion in order to be legal. So there's a religious freedom thing there. Now, I don't know if he had applied for an FFL and been denied for the refusal of the picture. If he did, that gives him a really good push. Even if he didn't, if he says, look, I knew that I couldn't do this, I looked into it and I couldn't, then okay, it gives him a little bit less push, but if he had been denied, it would have been better. The thing of predominantly to earn a profit, there's a question there. Now, these are all at the federal level statutes. I did, again, not have a chance to read all the docs on the case, but I did pull Pennsylvania's state law, and this is where your mileage may vary state to state. I can sell to anyone I want in South Carolina out of my personal collection. No problem. In Pennsylvania, an individual or dealer selling a handgun, an individual or dealer, we're going to call him under the individual, selling a handgun is required to sell or transfer it at the place of business of a dealer or county sheriff's office. Transfers of all firearms, handguns, are subject to an instant record check of the purchaser. Now, if it's a rifle or a long gun, a shotgun, we can do it out of the trunk of a car.
Yep. And that's the thing. He wasn't selling handguns. He was selling rifles and shotguns.
So as long as it's rifles and shotguns, because again, I read back through the Pennsylvania law and I didn't have a chance to read the whole case, but I wanted to brief up on the Pennsylvania law tonight because I knew federally he's got great arguments.
Yes.
Even, Your Honor, even if I had wanted to become, you would never let me. You would have made me violate my religion too.
Exactly.
Number one. Number two, I wasn't doing this for a profit. I was doing this. The young men in my community need rifles to go hunting with, and now I'm going to go to the very, very end of the whole thing and my wonderful synopsis. For the love of God, why is the ATF up in Pennsylvania trying to screw around with the Amish or Pennsylvania Dutch or whatever you want to call the communities? I think we need to take these pussified motherfuckers and send them to downtown Chirac, where we've got people shooting it up with glicky switches every other day. We just had South Birmingham, Alabama, with that shooting at the club, 4 dead, 17 wounded. to me, this is an enforcement priorities thing.
Yeah.
You can look right now, and the FBI can figure out the stats for last month. Where did we have shootings? What zip codes had the highest number of them?
Yep.
Let's put resources there. I'm not, this is the whole ComStat. If you ever watched The District or anything else or anything with NYPD where they talk about using statistical focus patrols, if these districts are having all these problems, guess what? Let's focus our enforcement where the problems are.
Yeah, that makes sense though. That makes sense though. When actually using the resources in the areas that it's needed goes against it's against what the federal government actually wants to do.
My problem with the whole thing comes into when we're sitting here and we're talking about this stuff. I just don't see the Amish as being our fucking problem.
No, they're not.
I mean, unless I'm missing something, or you tell me. And yeah, I'm sorry, I've got to throw this up because I actually used this in my stream the other night about the Amish. I was actually streaming about the Amish the other night.
Well, damn, that's serendipitous again.
Yes. Well, I was actually doing the one about the shooting down in Birmingham or South Birmingham outside a club, 11:30 Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Car pulls up, 4 people get out of the car, spray and pray with Glocks with switches, 100 plus rounds fired, 4 dead, 17 wounded, 4 of them critical. And yet there's not a single suspect description or vehicle description that's come out about the individuals involved as of like 4 days after the event. Now, if you're outside a club in downtown, somebody saw something. Why don't we have at least descriptions, maybe some names, street names? It was Pookie and Ray, and they were driving the ghetto clad or whatever. But the fact that they don't do it obviously means that these are the people. Picture the suspects for a South Birmingham drive-by at a club at 11:30 at night and what their getaway vehicle would look like.
Horse and buggy. Yes. Of course. Of course.
I actually
didn't know you were going to pull that. I didn't know you were going to pull that up, but that's great.
Oh, I actually used that in my stream the other night. I was like, clearly here's our desperate suspects, but we can't come out with. I like it. No, Divergent one likes it. That's right. With Pookie and Ray, they come out with the gats. They got the glickies. No, trust me. But the thing is, perfect crime. No one ever saw it.
Yeah. I just want to point out, though.
I promise you, if it was like 2 white guys wearing red hats and said, "This is MAGA country," we'd know about it.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to point out really quick, over 300 live viewers on X right now. Wow. Thank you to those watching over on X. And always thank you to my people here on Rumble. I'm not sure which live counter is correct, which one is not. Regardless, anybody who is watching, if you could, go ahead and smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. $5 a month for beautiful emotes and that beautiful MAGA red hue in the chat. If you haven't followed me here on Rumble, Billdozer74 on Rumble. To all those of you on X, if you haven't created a Rumble account, if you like X because you like the free speech approach that Elon has been taking, believe it or not, Rumble probably one-ups him quite a bit. So if you haven't created a Rumble account, takes just a couple minutes, won't hurt you. Lady Dozer did it the other day. Took her 3 or 4 minutes to get it done. And it's worth doing to support a free speech platform. So come on over to Rumble. Screw YouTube, even though I do stream to YouTube as well. So I do YouTube, X, and Rumble. I do Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Central. Go for about 3 hours or so usually. We're going to be cutting it off here in about 15 minutes or so. So we're not going to hit 3 hours, but we are going to get close. I'm not technically lying. I said we weren't going to hit 3 hours, and by God, we're not doing it tonight. I don't think so.
We also had deep stuff to that.
We did have a lot to talk about, and damn it, it deserved the attention And that's why we talked about it for so long, because it's important and it matters. So one of the things also in this case about Reuben King that Barnes is going to bring up, and I was reading through the article here about the no bright line rule as to whether an individual requires a federal firearm license.
Yeah.
So that's one of the interesting things.
At what point are you a dealer? It's okay. You're
So-
driving down the road. The speed limit is 55. That's the limit. It doesn't say not too fast. That's subjective.
Yep. So let's go ahead
this
and
has been part of the argument with the whole Safer Communities Act of, well, if you deal too many guns, what's too many? If we think you're operating a business, we are, and we'll put you in jail for 50 years.
Yeah. Sanglin, I appreciate the gusto. He says, to daybreak. Well, if I didn't have work in the morning at 8 a.m. and have to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to show this glorious moneymaker on a WebEx, I would go for 3 or 4 hours tonight. Or, well, 4 or 5, probably.
I'll do another line of Mountain Dew, and it'll be good.
Ah, there you go. No. It's all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Anarchy. I don't know what it means, but I like it.
Don't make me break out the blackout coffee.
There we go. Let's go ahead and pull up this this little clip here from Viva and Barnes. Great lawyers. Well, Viva's not really practicing anymore, but still got a legal background.
Yes.
He's not practicing, just like the nose Pope. But let's go ahead and pull this up.
Except Viva practiced for a little bit more than the Pope, but we won't go there.
Probably. But let's go ahead and pull this one up here.
Try to get out your way here for a second.
There you go. Appreciate you, sir. All right. And we're going to play this clip here from Barnes and Viva talking about it. And Barnes is on the case, so he has some specifics about this case with the another case of selective prosecution with the poor Amish farmer.
So Reuben King was convicted of selling firearms, of being an unregistered or unlicensed firearms dealer, facing a lot of jail time. What stage of the proceedings are you at right now?
On appeal.
He is currently not. Where is he now? He
got probation. We started representing him at the sentencing stage, and the original recommendation was 3 years in prison, and the judge recognized the issues that we raised and reduced it to probation.
All right, and so you're appealing it, even though probation has come and gone, I presume.
Oh no, the probation is like 3 years. But the main it was really the big constitutional questions lurking in his case, and he went along with the appeal because of the broader consequences of the case. Generally, the Amish don't seek legal relief or legal remedy because of their religious traditions, but in this context, it was permissible. Because of the broader impact it would have on the rest of the country. And the statements the government made in its opposition on the appeal reveal just how significant this case is for the Second Amendment liberties in America.
So I mean, I have an understanding of the Second Amendment constitutional issues, but flesh them out for those who might not appreciate it. This is a man who's selling his own. This is what we would call a private sale of a firearm. He's not making it his primary business. Their argument is that any private sale basically is going to make you into a gun dealer, which means that you need to get licensed by the feds.
Yeah, and in particular here problematic because they require as a condition without exception a photograph, and the Amish don't do photographs as part of their religious tradition, and so consequently, he couldn't apply. And they didn't provide any accommodation for him to apply. And what they told him was if his general business was selling guns, then he had to register. He's like, well, I farm every day. So gun selling guns is not my daily business. My daily business is this big farm I operate here. So that he thought that was that. Some undercovers went back in and decided to charge him with being a commercial sales, a license, someone that required a license.
Mm-hmm.
And so one issue is whether he could even be required to have a license. The law is so vague about that's one of our challenges, that it's void for vagueness, because nobody would be on fair notice as to who is required to be licensed when even the ATF can't agree on who it is that's required. They've described it themselves as saying there's no bright line rule. It's kind of the definition of void for vagueness. For those that don't remember, the principle is that the law has to give you fair notice of what you can go to prison for. And if there's any doubt about it, they can't put you in prison for it under the rule of lenity for criminal statute interpretation. And the other aspect here was our argument is this violated the Second Amendment because there's no federal gun law registration of any kind until the 1930s. So if you go back to when our Constitution was founded, you won't find any federal laws for a century and a half of any custom and practice or history and tradition of limiting who could sell a gun, who could buy a gun, and who could possess a gun. So our argument is there is no history and tradition of federal law regulating this, requiring a licensing in the first place, despite the rule being so vague that it can entrap all kinds of people on top of it. And the only question is selling or buying a gun protected under the Second Amendment? Well, it almost has to be, right? Because if not, if you have no Second Amendment right to buy a gun and no Second Amendment right to sell a gun, what good is a Second Amendment right to possess something you can neither buy nor sell?
Let me play devil's advocate. They'll say you have the right to buy a gun if you buy it from a registered federal dealer, and you have the right to own it if you've bought it from a registered dealer.
But that only goes to the second aspect. So the first aspect is, does the Second Amendment protect it? Because if it does protect it, then they have to show that the regulation or restriction on purchases or sales fits within the history and tradition of federal registration laws. They know they can't win on the second part because there were no federal registration laws until the 1930s. So the only way they can win is if the courts decide, well, the states were imposing these restrictions, except the Second Amendment wasn't applied to the states until the Civil War and the incorporation to the 14th Amendment. So that has no analogy to what was the interpretation of the Second Amendment as to the federal government, which is applicable only at the time of the founding. And even then, they've just got a scattered shot set of laws that aren't consistent and the rest. For the most part, gun sales were not controlled by the government, whether in terms of purchases or in terms of selling. So all of these laws are foreign to the history of the Constitution and the general rule, Second Amendment. So what's their main argument? Their main argument is you have absolutely no right in America to buy a gun. You have absolutely no right in America to sell a gun. The Second Amendment only protects possession. It does not protect purchases, and it does not protect sales, which means, yeah, you have the right to have a gun. You just have no means to get it. That's their interpretation of the Second Amendment. They said that explicitly to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. And that's why I've been telling people that Reuben King's case is much bigger than Reuben King.
They say you do not have the right to acquire it unless it's acquired from a federally licensed dealer.
No. You don't have a right, period. This is purely a privilege. You have no right to ever buy a gun, according to the U.S. government. You have no right to ever sell a gun, according to the U.S. government. They're saying Second Amendment doesn't protect that. The right to bear arms only protects the right of possession. That the Second Amendment has nothing to do with the purchase or sale of a gun. That's their position.
All right. Now, but no judge is going to say that you can't buy or sell a gun. They're going to say
the district court judge pretty much said exactly that.
Well, unless you're registered as a federal.
No. He said there's no right. So in other words, the registration is purely ancillary. You don't look. You never analyze the registration rules. It's, do you have a Second Amendment right? Does the Second Amendment apply to gun sales? If it doesn't apply to gun sales, it's just a privilege, right? There's no right. So that's it. Now, you won't be criminally prosecuted under the existing law if you go through a licensed seller. But what that means is Congress could just ban the sale of it altogether, not require any licensing. Because what's important here is they're not saying that this method of registration is permissible under the Second Amendment. They're saying the Second Amendment doesn't apply, period. And if we wanted to, we can ban all sales of all guns to everybody everywhere.
Assume that they're going to come down with the reasonable middle ground, which is going to be you can have private sales for, up to, if you don't exceed your primary income.
The only way you can get to that, though, is you have to first say the Second Amendment applies. And then you would say, is this regulation and restriction, this condition on purchase and sales, consistent with the history and tradition of gun law, federal gun laws? They're trying to argue federal and state gun laws. You only get to that if the first aspect is met. They know they have a problem with a bunch of their current rules and restrictions. Their fallback position is, hey, it still won't apply to Reuben King for reasons A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
But they put that aside for the moment. The bigger legal precedent they're trying to establish here is there's no Second Amendment right, period.
But from a practical perspective, this was a criminal case. So was it done by a judge or was it done by a jury, the conviction?
Both a judge and a jury.
Okay.
But the first part was, does the Second Amendment apply? Because then you turn to, is this particular restriction consistent with the Second Amendment?
And they didn't even get past the first part, which was, no, the Second Amendment does not apply to the purchase and sale of firearms.
Correct.
Huh.
I mean, they have additional arguments on the other part, but their goal was to use this case to make a precedent on the first. And that's why the ATF was trying to expand into making all private sales you had to get registered for, which a federal court.
Sterling, there was a case recently where the judge literally said the Second Amendment doesn't apply in this courtroom. You can't mention the Second Amendment. And it was in reference to a gun issue. Some of these judges, after due process, well, those black robes could be used to string some people up, is all I'm saying. After due process, of course.
Court in Texas enjoined because it said you didn't even go through the proper APA process for that. But the big first issue, because this has never been explicitly ruled on by any court. The courts have suggested our position is correct, that yes, the Second Amendment has to protect purchase and sales, because if it doesn't, the Second Amendment is dead. Your right to possess a gun you can't get is worthless and useless. And that's been the logic other courts have noted, but they've never ruled on the specific question. This case presents that specific question clearly. They have to make that decision first before they do the analysis as, is this restriction permissible under the Second Amendment because it fits within the history and traditions under the Bruin decision. They don't want to get there because even if it's not this case, there'll be other cases they lose where they can't establish that their restriction on purchase and sales covers it. The case of the Supreme Court has addressed to date hasn't been purchase and sale cases. It's been permits to possess. And the new Biden administration, the new Democratic approach is, okay, we can't win on that anymore on controlling possession. Let's just ban sales. Let's just ban purchases. And thereby we eviscerate your Second Amendment anyway.
What are the chances that the court says, the question will arise later on, but for the time being, he's satisfied his role?
Get that first analysis before they can do the rest. So they're going to have to address this question.
Okay, now I absolutely understand not your fixation, but why this was such an important case to you from the beginning, because we've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, subscribe over there. Gotta love Viva's standalone videos. I remember watching him whenever he was just doing car vlogs. It looks like Sully was having some technical issues. He's kind of just winging it right now. He's doing some generator stuff. So, if he's not able to join the stream again, definitely appreciate you, Sully. Let me check and make sure that nobody's waiting in the background. All right. But if you're not able to join again, thank you so much for joining the stream, man. Awesome insight into what's going on down there in that neck of the woods. And hope you guys are able to get power and get some of the general conveniences of life, of modern life back. That was really good information and just a wealth of knowledge from Sully there. So you guys go check out Sully, the Gun Club on Rumble, as well as Real Hard Truths, where he gets a little bit more political stuff and newsy stuff. So gets into just some general, like it says, the title of the channel, Real Hard Truths. So worth a follow. Great stuff. Good conversation. Some heavy stuff, some deep stuff earlier, as he was saying. But I think it deserved the attention. And we spent about an hour just talking about that. Well, honestly, we could have kept going. I did have some topics that I did want to get to today, but we could honestly kept going for hours just on that. And I ended up turning into a damn dirty, rotten liar again, didn't I, guys? I said I wasn't going to go to 3 hours, but dang it, it looks like I'm going to end up hitting 3 hours. Lady Dozer passed out on the couch, so I don't feel as bad right now. She's she should be all right. She'll saw some logs down there, but no. But that's an interesting case there. It seems like Pennsylvania is doing everything it can to go against the Amish people that are just simply trying to exist. God forbid you try to just be an American citizen in this country. It is insane that there's so much attention on this. But I was just checking my messages here. But it's insane that the government has to go after the people that. Here's the thing about the Amish, right? The Amish, I'm not saying that they're perfect. Nobody is. But evil, and I'm going to go ahead and put the government in this instance in the category of evil, is attracted to the light. It's attracted to the pure, the innocent, the good. And the Amish community, in a lot of ways, falls into that category of that innocence, that naivete, that there's a system that is just and right. That's why a lot of the times Barnes mentions it often. A lot of the times the Amish won't actually seek a legal action, legal remedy, because they believe that the right thing's supposed to happen. Sadly, we are in a corrupted society where that doesn't happen all the time. And what's up, Squall Rush? Glad to see you, man. Guys, go check out Squall Rush on Rumble as well. There's some gaming stuff, some geek stuff, nerd stuff. Talks about some DBZ stuff. All right. Got Shinron on the arm. But I squirreled hard there. But I think that's what we're looking at here. I think you're looking at people wonder why, just like you wonder why they're going after the children, right? In the schools and stuff like that. Why they're going after them? Because they are the innocent, and the devil seeks out that which is pure, that which is righteous, and wants to corrupt it. That's why, and that's the only kind of reason that's the only, not the only solution. No, the only reason that I can think of that they would be doing this. It's just insane. It's just insane. Just let the dang Amish folk be the Amish folk. Leave them alone, damn it. I guess last topic here. Got a couple more minutes that we can hang out. Discuss about what we talking about, man. Squall Rush, you've missed a hell of a conversation. We talked about some hurricane stuff with Sully. He's down there in South Carolina and has a lot of emergency management kind of knowledge. We talked a good while about that, and then we talked about the trouble in the Sandbox with Israel and the Iran strikes, and then just recently we were talking about the case of Reuben King, an Amish farmer in Pennsylvania that is being targeted, one might say selectively prosecuted by the Pennsylvania government for simply selling some guns. Interesting stuff. Squall Rush, let's talk about some chicks with OnlyFans. It's not that kind of show. It's not that kind of show. There's a place for that. There's a place for that. It's over in the oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the names. There's two of them. There's the oh my, I can't even think of them right now. I must be getting a little bit sleepy. You guys know what I'm talking about, though. It was my guilty pleasure for a while there, watching the clips of the ethos getting schooled by random based gentlemen. What was the name of something podcast? I don't know. Whatever they are, there's a place for them. We're gonna go ahead and talk, I guess, a little. Hey there, Sully. What's up, bud? Oh,
sorry about that.
We're good. Glad to have you back here. Did your power go out? Did the batteries die? Did the generator need some fuel?
My generator is doing the best it can to keep up with us. Mm-hmm. And so to run my streaming setup, I had to actually run an uninterruptible power supply, like a battery backup supply, to run part of it, and the battery backup got tired.
Yeah. Damn, man. I appreciate you going through all this. You don't have to do all this, man, but that's cool, man.
Well, my thing was, again, not knowing too much about the firearm topic, but I was like, okay, I can definitely do that one. I mean, I was waiting for, Viva and Barnes to be done. I was going to talk about the rule of lenity. And basically, if a law is vague, it should be, by federal standard, applied in the most charitable way to the defendant.
Exactly.
So the fact that there's nothing says, if you sell 12 guns a year, 14, 37, whatever, so, okay. So the rule of lenity says you haven't specified, so it's got to be, and it's like you said, there's a lot of 2A issues with that one. But yeah, the stuff up in North Carolina, I saw a couple of people streaming it the other day, and I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting to watch, especially when they tried to pronounce Swannanoa.
Yeah.
And Lake Luray. No, it's Lake Lure, really.
Lake Lure, yeah.
Lake
See, I was figuring it was Lake Lure. That's how I was going to pronounce
Yeah.
it. That's like was it in Georgia? There's Lake Lanier and Lake Altoona. I remember those two. Used to go used to fish in those. My dad used to take us up there, and we do night fishing for blue cat and stuff like that. And it was always fun in the morning to see how many poles got yeeted into the water during the night because giant fish latched onto them. But
and no, neurodivergent one, we don't get power from warm hugs and rainbows. But yeah, so the battery supply, I'm like running cables and cords and
heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. I hope they can get you. I hope they can get you back. Do they have an estimate? Is there an estimate of when power might be coming back to you? That is because I know the only thing close to it that I have is there was an ice storm back in 2008 here in Southeast Missouri, and we were out of power for 2 weeks out in the country, off on the county roads. And we went old school. We broke out a cauldron, heated up our water over the fire. That's how we got a warm bath. It was rusty, but it worked. We went down to the cisterns with 5-gallon buckets and a string and walked them up the icy hill. We went old school then. But
we were told 11:45 Friday night back earlier in the week. Now, I went into town today. There are a block, 2 blocks from me, still trees that are laying like this on 2 or 3 power lines. There are still power lines across the road. There are still power poles with 2 or 3 transformers on them that are snapped halfway up. Until they get all that done, they can't energize that stuff. So,
nope. At a certain point, we've got to get our power lines need to go underground. I know there are some countries that have made that a possibility, and I know it's a whole big infrastructure kerfuffle that's going to be involved with that. But that is something that I think is worth it. I don't understand why we're still, and I get it. It's a whole industry, a whole set of careers that are they're going to either have to transition or they're going to have to fade away. And that sucks. But if we can make our infrastructure, our electrical grid more,
resilient,
resilient. Yeah, that's the word. I was going to say reticent was the word coming to mind. And I knew that wasn't the word I was looking for, but, more resilient, then, we should do that. It's a lot, but it's doable at some point, probably. At least I would think so. Maybe if we would spend more money here in this country and focus on the infrastructure here, that would help.
Well, I mean, we're spending the money wisely here. Yeah.
Yes.
The infrastructure, whatever act that was going to do all this, how many billions did they put to get rural areas connected? But yet the rural areas still aren't connected.
Yeah.
They're going to build a gazillion charging stations for EVs. Personally, I think it's a fool's errand. But they built less than 50 of them. With how much?
Yeah.
The grift. I mean, and I'm not just saying this current administration. We go back to when Obama was doing Solyndra for solar panels. How much money did we dump into Solyndra? And they never made panel 1.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking of just starting my own little fake solar panel company and getting a big fat federal grant and leaving the country with it.
Yeah.
And that right now Elon was going to send a bunch of Starlink up to North Carolina, but they're fighting him on that.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah.
They canceled the contract for the rural areas. I knew about
Yeah.
that. And they anything that it seems like they're going just against any of the resources that would actually help. That would help, and it makes no sense. The fire chief incident was a dick measuring contest on the micro scale, we'll say, and it looks like the federal government is doing their own measuring contest on the larger scale.
Yeah.
And man, it doesn't make any sense to me. Other than I don't. At a certain point, it seems intentional. What they're doing. I don't know.
Only so much can be accidental.
Yeah. I got a couple clips here. We had the last thing that I was kind of thinking about discussing news topic wise was kind of the vice presidential debate. I'll just go ahead and start off saying I'm still on an endorphin high from that. It was a JD Vance, and I would rather had Tulsi Gabbard or Vivek Ramaswamy. Yes, but and Vance though on this debate night showcased, I think, the reason why Trump went ahead and went with him, because this dude put on a show of how to just handle first of all, an opponent that looks like he's terrified most of the time, and then a little grouping of harpies as the quote unquote moderators, when there's nothing moderating. They're not doing any moderating. They wanted to engage in a debate, and the way that Vance was able to tactfully address that and then shut them down, even though they shut his mic off. And some of the clips, I got a little 2-minute little recap that I'm going to play here in a minute. It ends with JD Vance doing his little side eye thing that he did when Walz just stumbled all over himself and looked like a pitiful melting mass of estrogen. Like that's what Walz is. He's so bitch made. But like I will say, I said this earlier. I don't know if I said it. I think I said it earlier, but again, I'll grade the moderators. I'll give them a C for condescending cunts, because that's what they were. Especially the one in pink when she did the little she almost giggled. I swear to God, she almost giggled when they shut his mic off. She was that close to doing a little girly giggle about, oh, they can't hear you right now at home. Actually, bitch, I still could hear. You know what? I could still hear him talking, because I guess the other mics were picking it up, because I think Vance got his announcer voice on for a moment. Just to be sure that he was heard. He was telling them about the CBP1 app, which they tried to insinuate that this has been Walz tried to insinuate that this has been a thing, this illegal process that they've been doing to just give temporary protected status to these illegals since the 90s. And he goes, no, the CBP1 app has not been around since the 90s. This is a way to subvert the law. And Vance just tore him up. He tore him up. I think this is a good clip. I actually haven't. I just was kind of glancing through some of the little clips here. But what were your kind of thoughts really on the debate? I think Vance destroyed him. I think it was a beautiful demonstration.
I watched parts of it. I could not watch the whole thing. I worked Thursday. I worked Tuesday night.
Yeah.
I was a little bit busy. Something about a storm. I don't know. Anyway, what I've seen of it, and I knew that, look, Tim Walz may be very comfortable up speaking, and he may have a lot of debate experience. He has not had a lot of debate experience against JD Vance.
Mm-hmm.
JD Vance, throughout his career, throughout his experience, Yale educated, has run major companies. Again, a true businessman. JD Vance has the background of talking, hard to people, dealing with stuff with real people, real life. I figured this was going to be the equivalent of the major league pitcher thrown to out there doing a charity event with the Make-A-Wish kid, and that's what it turned into.
Yeah.
Tim Walz was going to be out of his league walking in the door.
Yep. He walked into the wrong bar, as one of the analysts said. He did not need to step into that bar.
And honestly, I had been, and I don't know whether they probably wouldn't have agreed to it, but if I was the Democrats, I would have said, since we had to change candidates at the last minute, why don't we do the vice presidential one with Kamala and Trump also, or do something? Because she can sort of speak on her feet a little bit. He looked 2 or 3 times like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you saw her thing about she picked him and she was sleep deprived. There's a vote of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And here's the thing. In her debate performance, she was just repeating lines that she had rehearsed. And literally they had they had the debate topics before the debate. Mm-hmm. So she had a chance to practice these.
Well, even if she didn't have the topics.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I could sit here and say, okay, we know what has been marked as being off limits.
Mm-hmm.
What are the other topics going to be? Come up with 3 lines on each one of them.
Yep.
And then tell her what to say.
Yep.
I mean, you could put 5 halfway intelligent people around a boardroom table with, a couple of cases of beer and some Domino's pizza, and they can figure out the border, the economy, immigration. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a template that you can definitely apply. Let's go ahead and check this clip out real quick and see if it's worth anything. I honestly don't know. I just found it and I saw the side eye from Vance. So let's see if this is actually worth watching. I'm experiencing this, learning this with you guys right now. So yeah, we'll see. Pull it up here. Oh, didn't come up yet. There we go. Let's see what that woman right there, vile harpy.
Oh, now that is a perfect cut though, there, where she's sitting right there. That's what she's good for. No more, no less.
The primary role of the moderators is to facilitate the debate between the candidates, enforce the rules, and provide the candidates with the opportunity to fact-check claims made by each other. These are the rules that both campaigns have agreed to.
Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank you,
Margaret. The rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own leadership.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora. Thank you, Margaret.
There we go. That's the.
Yeah.
It wasn't in response to that, but that side eye, that is just beautiful, beautiful side eye that he did. But that just, that horrible woman. Is not a very nice person. What a nasty woman.
She even said the primary response is to let them fact check each other. It was not your position. I'm sorry. And then to mute his mic and
she giggled. She did a giggle. It wasn't a girly. It wasn't like a schoolgirl giggle, but it was a giggle nonetheless. Fuck that bitch.
I hate to say it. This is one of these things that the Republican Party needs to look at and say, oh, by the way, we're never going to allow her in the room for any debate we ever do again.
Here's my thing. I think these last couple debates, honestly, I think they put a nail in the coffin of this format. I think this format's dead. And I think any American, any objective, independent, which, I rah-rah for Trump, but I'm an independent-minded individual.
Mm-hmm.
I don't align with the Republicans on everything. I don't align with the liberals on everything. I am somebody it depends on the issue that you talk to me about.
I never really followed in with the McCain crowd and that stuff and let's get into every conflict everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Show me why I give a shit.
Yes. Exactly. And it's like it's a gang mentality that ends up coming up, and it's you can relate it to your favorite sports team, even the Jets versus the Patriots. It's something that I never understood as far as politics are concerned, because these are actually important things that are going to affect your future and your children's future. So this gang mentality of red versus blue, I used to work with little heathen children, right? And I had one who was a smart kid, 15-year-old kid, and he was quick. And we were talking politics because he was just a kid that was up on things. And, he at 15 years old, he pretty much he had stuff. He knew way too much about the world for a 15-year-old. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And he could run an operation.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of chatting about politics because it was around the time when Trump was coming in, and that was during that election cycle. And he talked about because we talked about the gang stuff whenever we facilitated discussions and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he came to the side one day. He goes, Mr. Bill, he said, I mean, you look at politics and it's literally red and blue. I mean, that's like us throwing up colors, flag and gang signs and stuff.
Yeah.
He said it's downright, it's pretty damn similar. You got to admit. Yeah. And I was like, you're right, it is.
And I mean, when you said the Jets and the Patriots, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. It's the Patriots and the Steelers.
Oh, okay.
Don't let them steal another one.
Yeah, they did a little bit of that. Yeah. But man, it just was cool to see it. It was cool to see the perspective of somebody who was like just getting into it and with fresh eyes looking at it, at the side picking that goes on. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm independent, but do I vote Republican most of the time? Yeah, because generally I'm for the party that doesn't want to kill babies. But that's one of my biggest issues. But I'm not gonna vote for you just because you have that letter by your name. I'm going, especially on the local level. If you look into people at the local level, I vote for Democrats and independents at the local level a lot of the time. Sometimes, not a lot of the time. I'll throw out a vote for it. Like there was a county commissioner who was technically a Democrat, and I voted for him every time because he was a good dude. He did the job well. He was a country guy,
right?
That did things right.
And I mean, my thing is, I'm more Republican oriented. However, that being said, in this election, regardless of Democrat or Republican, I think to myself, and again, I've mentioned I play with aviation. Which candidate or pair of candidates would you want on the flight deck if you were taking off on a transatlantic flight? Which pair would you want?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be very honest with you. Or if you were on a transatlantic flight and in the first two rows you've got, Trump and Vance and, Kami Lama and Walz, and the pilot and co-pilot are sick, which ones do you trust to try to figure something out? I'm sorry, that crazy bitch should put us into a mountain.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
And again, it's mismanagement. Regardless, okay, I might not agree with everything that Trump says. I might agree with some of the stuff that Kamala says.
Mm-hmm.
But which one can run something? And I think it's very telling that when you look at Walz and Kamala have never run anything in their life.
Well.
Trump and Vance have both run and built businesses.
Yep.
Who understands the economy? Surely not somebody who's been on a municipal dime forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she got out of law school, got a prosecutor's job, and then got that upgraded job from Willie Brown and worked from there, and then on the state senate. Has she ever managed anything?
To move up, she had to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's I got another little clip here. Another clip here from the debate. Official debate footage. By the way, here. I got to show you this here. This is very official, very legit, very legit.
The people to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything. Many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about. I'm there for the people to make sure that I get this.
Yep, very serious, very serious. We only keep it serious here. But he does kind of look like Elmer Fudd, doesn't he? But man, the way Vance looking at him like a freaking cat ready to attack a little baby bird. It was brutal. It was cool to see. I don't know what the hell that is, by the way. Look at that, guys. What's in the clouds over Israel? I don't know what that is. Do you guys know what that is?
Look at that.
Of the incoming projectiles rangers.
The fuck is this shit? Look at that. Look at that.
I don't know. I don't know, guys. What do you think that was, Sully?
I don't know. It's hard to tell from here.
It was weird. It doesn't look like it was a bug in front of the camera. That looks like it was coming down out of the clouds and then did a little swervy. We got a lot of stuff out there that we don't know about. The military tech is about 30 years more advanced than what we know, from what I understand. That's a number thrown around a lot by some folks. I don't know. That's interesting. Could be a Dementor from Harry Potter. Who knows? But yeah, that was an interesting little thing there. The debate, I think, like I said earlier, I think the past two debates have probably put a nail in the coffin for a lot of independents. A lot of independents even acknowledged in the last debate, even if they didn't like Trump, they acknowledged the bias that was present. And you had people tearing up even these two harpies for how they handled it, when literally they said, we're not going to fact check. And then they go ahead and they start doing it. It is... They can't help themselves. Their default is to pull this crap. And that's why I think moving forward, and we've seen a lot more long form content with candidates this election, and I think that's the trend. It's going to be cool to see, in the midterms, how things evolve. If we're still doing our thing by that time, I guess. But I think here's my thing too. I understand why Trump said no to another debate. Trump already offered other debates to the Harris campaign. They didn't take him up on it. After the debate that they had with him, it may not have been his best performance. I'd give him probably a 72%, because it could have been way better. He could have not gotten baited by Kamala's obvious baits about the crowd size stuff if he would have stayed away from that. And but the whole concepts of a plan, that was a rough start to that answer, but he ended up saving it towards the end by talking about that there's the structure there. There are some good things from the ACA, like the pre-existing conditions thing. So let's take it and let's strip the shit away and put muscle on those bones. That's what he essentially ended up saying in that debate. So that was he fixed it towards the end there, but you had to pay attention longer than the soundbite, which a lot of people struggle with.
Right.
But regardless, the only thing that these are good for is to showcase how biased the media is at this point. And I don't think they have they haven't earned it. They've lost the right to be viewed as the respectable, authoritative source that could actually provide moderation to something as important as a debate between two presidential candidates. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think I would love to be done with it completely at this point. I don't need the blood sports. It's fun if it's done like it used to be. It could be fun. Like with the crowd, when Trump back in the 2015, Trump was or 2016, yeah, he had the crowd going. They didn't know how to handle it because he works a crowd. The man is a performer, and they don't know how to. The media can't move past the populist uprising in this country. They get uncomfortable with it. They can't handle it.
And it's Vance, I think, is not the performer Trump is, but he's far more than what the other two were. I mean,
his nonverbals were on point.
Well, and I mean, I think the only kind of performance that Tim could put on might involve a horse, but I did not see Tim really ever land a solid answer.
No.
Yeah. And again, Kamala never answered a question, either in the interviews or anything else. I did, reviews on both of those. And I can't bring myself to vote for the pilot who doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
If you're flying an aircraft, you leave with a flight plan. We're going from here to there, and we're going to have this much fuel, and this is how we're going to do it. They don't have a plan. Or if they do, they won't tell us, which either way.
Yeah. Oh, it looks like I've made it finally, Sully. I have a bot in the live chat.
Oh, cool. Who?
It's a MKL5466. Yay, I have a bot.
They're putting mRNA vax in your food. Do this right now.
I wouldn't click that link, people. Please don't click that link.
Yeah, probably not a good idea. Not a very good link. There's a lot better links out there.
Yes,
I've heard that some of my links are some of the best. I wouldn't say it, but people are telling me. Very smart people.
All right. Well, we have talked about some serious stuff today, guys. We talked a good bit about the stuff going on in North Carolina. Sully has some firsthand kind of knowledge, some emergency management type of knowledge. Just really good wealth of information. I appreciate the hell out of you for hopping on the stream.
Definitely enjoy coming on. It's I understand, and I'm like 100% on. I think definitely we need to cover it. But I mean, I've seen professional media shit the bed on this one so bad.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, folks, and again, this is the professional sportscaster who's never coached a team who's sitting there saying what the coach of XYZ team should do.
Yep.
But this was unprecedented, and if you're in the area, give your responders a little bit of grace because, folks, we tired. We're doing everything we can, and our homes ain't doing no better than yours. I mean, those of us around South Carolina, I had a woman the other day ranting and raving because the power's not on yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, ma'am, when I go home in the morning, I'm taking a cold shower too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. You got to remember that the emergency responders are the first responders you're human beings too, and you can only do so much. You would love to be able to help everybody every time and do it quickly, but there's only so much you can do.
And we're here where we're at in South Carolina. We occasionally get some snow and ice in the winter. Occasionally. And we've had a couple of snow and ice storms that have downed some trees. I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
When Katrina came through, it had lost a lot of its oomph. When Opal was off the coast, some of the stuff down the coast, I've never seen this here. But my point of bringing up the snow and ice is we always hear, well, why don't we plan better for this? And I say, if our governor went out right now and bought a whole pile of snow plows and scrapers and salters and sanders and hired a whole stack of people to use them, and then we didn't use them for 2 or 3 winters in a row, we'd rant and rave about how we wasted money and this idiot did all this because we don't get that much snow here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to plan for not only what's realistically going to happen, and sometimes you're going to get hit over that. And that's, I know we called in everybody who could physically get in. And because I was coming in Friday night, they didn't call me in earlier. The people who were off, they came in.
Yep. That's a good point there, Paul McGroin. The goal is to stabilize after triage so they survive until they can get to the doctor. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's Paul McGroin, you had a EMF, I think. No, EMR, I think you said earlier. Training or schooling that you did. So a little bit of base knowledge there apparently too. So cool to see you in the chat talking through some of this stuff too, man. So we talked about the and again, thanks again, Sully, for all that information. And we talked about the hurricane stuff, the response, a little bit of tinfoil hat stuff that we could get into later after the people are saved, hopefully. And then we moved into discussing the turmoil in the Sandbox, in Iran shooting missiles into Israel, and the ever increasing drumbeat of war. There. We then moved into the case of Reuben King, the Amish farmer in Pennsylvania, being targeted selectively. We could definitely indicate here for just selling some guns, and they are got him on probation now. Thankfully, Barnes is coming in hot with the constitutional knowledge to hopefully get this conviction removed, hopefully on appeal. Then we went ahead and talked a little bit about the vice presidential thumping, the destruction that Vance imparted so exquisitely upon Mr. Horsecombe. It was good to watch. It was good to watch it. I think a good thing that Trump could do, definitely, there's going to be some town halls, but as far as debates, no more debates. That right there, let Vance, let his performance be the last thing, the last word, essentially, in that aspect. Because I think if he does that, I think that's a damn good spot to leave it. Be like, all right, let's go ahead and hang it up there. Let's finish it up. And I think that's a good idea. But I said emergency first responder. Paul McGroin said EFR. Good deal. An instructor. Hell yeah, man. Good for you. And thank you for doing that. That's not easy. So good stuff, man. JJR said Dozer and Sully rocking it big time tonight. I'll be getting off from work very soon. Appreciate the info and edutainment from you both. Ooh, we have edutainment. Nice.
Well, we always like doing a little edutainment.
Nice.
Nice. And again, I try to deliver the news with a little bit of humor because, folks, we can't take this shit too seriously. We got to take it seriously, but you also got to laugh at it a little bit.
Yep. Gotta laugh. So we talked about that. Now, last thing that we're going to talk about here, and not really even going to talk about it, just a fun little thing here at the end here. And Sully, if you want to hang around for it, you can. If you want to dip out, that's fine too. But
as long as my system stays functional, how's that?
There we go. We've got some string theory talk. Ashton Forbes. Oh my gosh, if my mouse will cooperate with me, they know I'm trying to get close to the truth. Let me find it here. Where is it?
As long as you don't do Tim Walz string theory, I'm fine with it.
No, we're gonna stay away from that for sure. Yeah. Where did it go? Where did he go? We'll find it. I got too much stuff I've been bookmarking here. I actually had a really good clip from that lady Vani Hari with the "Make America Healthy Again" type of stuff. Cool. When she was talking about the ingredient differences between our food here
in Europe.
Europe. It was really good stuff. Yes. I found my string theory thing. Let's bring it up here. And apparently this is kind of making it seem like string theory might be bunk. And I did a presentation in high school about Michio Kaku and his kind of work.
Hit you in the what?
Yeah, Michio Kaku. Yeah, he's a theoretical physicist, and he was one of the kind of pioneers of like string theory and like at least delving into it, and had a very, very well-rounded kind of perspective on it. And actually was a senior in high school in our physics class, like beginner physics that you could take as a senior. A fun class for the most part, but had a little presentation that I did about him, and I was talking about string theory, and apparently string theory might have experienced a little bit of a shakeup here, according to this fellow with a beard. I think he's on TikTok, King Megan, Maegon. So if you're on the Chi-Com map, which I do technically have an account there, I just don't do much on it. So, and they haven't figured me out yet either on TikTok. So, let's go ahead and share this. Sully, if you could get your, turn your, there you go. Appreciate you, bud. I'm going to go ahead and click play, and we're going to watch this fella talk about string theory. Science time, guys. Science, switching it up. Not talking about the darkness in the world. Let's talk about some interesting science stuff.
No pun intended, as it should. And people, string theory is coming apart at the seams right now. No pun intended, as it should. And people are starting to realize it was one big fat lie. But wait till you find out why they were lying. The supposed father of string theory, you might say, Edward Witten, his father was involved with government experiments into electrogravitic propulsion, anti-gravity type stuff, and vortex physics. See, what happened was Ed's father, along with a lot of other scientists with government backing, obviously, discovered something exponentially more powerful than nuclear fission. It is a door that opened many doors, all of which would not be made available to the public. The only reason the nuclear weapon was made available to the public is because it was chosen to be used explicitly on Japan, and there was a lot of leaks. They learned from that, and also they learned, I'm sure they have a word for it, where you develop tons of high tech, but you don't use it, because there's this thing called a zero hour protocol. It's an idea used in more in like the digital domain. I just got poked by something, and the idea is like if you use a virus, as soon as you use it, you effectively lose your ability to own its secrets, because the very fact of using it presents its entire architecture, because it's already kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of blockchained into the internet, and it can be like retraced and reverse engineered really easily. Now, other types of technology, like in the real world, don't have a 0 hour protocol, but you might say it's a 5 hour protocol. Right. And so, let's say they're using some kind of new jet and, flies over another country, and the country gets tons of pictures and different types of radio scans, and they can, find out maybe what some of the technology that's in the plane is by some means of, scanning or whatever. They can begin to start maybe developing by reverse engineering whatever they've seen and been able to measure in some way. Let's say one of those planes crashes, it becomes tremendously more easy to back engineer. So when you see the US opened a magical door of technology with the help of the Germans that completely changed material science in the physics domain. And it unleashed a kind of power that they all deemed was too powerful to make public. And so what they did is they created a fantasy science called string theory, whose primary fundamental presupposition is itself based on a misunderstanding. That is of fourth dimensional space-time. It's not real. There's no 3 dimensions of actual space. We take 3-dimensional graph paper abstractly, mathematically, and we superimpose it on the real territory of reality, and we call that dimensions. It's an abstract mathematical or scientific concept that just helps us to measure things that happen in the world. There's no dimensions. Now, I've explained this before, and I think I just explained it quite concisely, but if that's not enough for you, ask a science scientists to show you the 3 dimensions. They're going to pull out a piece of paper and they're going to start writing equations, or they're going to try to like explain to you in mathematical or scientific, abstract scientific terms what 3 dimensions are. And then you're going to say, no, show me in reality. And they might say, like, what do you mean? It's like, can you give me any evidence-based experiment that shows the 3 dimensions? They're not going to be able to do it. They can't, because the 3 dimensions don't exist. This is the same with time. Time is not a dimension. There's a paradox. There's a paradox that no one really knows about. And that is that scientists believe, based on like brainwave studies and scans of different animals, that different animals perceive time at different speeds. That's paradoxical if time's a dimension, which means we're getting something wrong, okay? Because if you simply understand what time really is, then that paradox goes away. And what time really is a secondary effect of matter and energy. Because in a space where there's no matter or energy, there's no way to measure time. That's because time isn't passing, but time also isn't time. It's not a dimensional thing that we're moving along. Time is what we use as a measurement for the process of things. We're talking universal momentum, which isn't happening in all places all around. The entire universe isn't being carried through a dimension of time. Processes occurring in some places, but there are giant bubbles of places in the universe that time isn't passing, because there's nothing to show that is passing. And in a small vacuum space where there's no matter and energy, no time is passing. The very act of measuring time requires matter and energy. So it's just a mistake in trying to force abstract ideas onto the real world. And so string theory, with its 11 or 12 dimensions, is basing everything on completely false foundations of four-dimensional space-time, which isn't real. They did, and you know, any scientist will tell you, it's like they've never been able to bring anything of value. They've never been able to prove any of these theories, but they keep adding more fantastical elements onto them. They've created a literal sci-fi system of science that's not real, and that was done intentionally to distract us from the fact that they went a completely different way with science on the underground. And string theory is just, it's a theatrical performance. So that's what's really going on, folks. The level of technology they actually have, it would absolutely blow your mind. You wouldn't think any UFOs are from outer space if you understood what they have. So yeah, that's what's going on with string theory. Gravity isn't what you think it is either. But yeah, I think it's important for people to understand this, because it's this type of, the same thing as he who controls the past controls the present. It's like he who controls the way people think about the natural world also controls how people behave in it and respond to it. Religion is a control system. Modern religion, modern science is a control system. Look, we've been on pause for decades and decades and decades, philosophically, religiously, scientifically. That's never happened in history. We've had situations where, you know, religions went on crusades against reason, you know, but that was absolutely apparent. We've just seemed to have paused for no reason, because it's a very clandestine and secretive way of controlling, right? It's not by force. They're not burning people at the stake because they're like, is 1 times 1 really equal 1? You know, people aren't dying for that, right? But what they've done is they've created so much performative art. Like, the whole reality is bread and circus. It's not just the football games. The football games is just a level down of bread and circus. Like, there's a meta bread and circus, which is everything. Your politics, your religion, your science, it's all fake. It's all a joke. That's the Matrix. Doesn't have to be all encompassing for all of reality. No. The Matrix is every single political and religious and scientific system that's presented to you today as real. Every single one of them has 1,000 holes that you can see if you do any critical thinking. They paused all of us in like the 1940s, and they've continued on. Storm the Vatican Library.
He might have been smoking a little wacky tobacco. Might have been doing a little bit of that. Got a little rambly at times, I'm not gonna lie. But it's interesting. Interesting thoughts though. Oh, I think you're muted.
Not really sure about some of his thoughts, but okay.
Yeah. He had some interesting perspectives on things there towards the end. He got a little bit. There at the start, he kind of starts to lose you a little bit. Like, where are you going with this? But then he kind of tied it back in with his talk of the dimensions and space time and stuff like that. And the dimension, the dimension of time, and he kind of tied it into the string theory, where string theory branches it out and goes into like all the way up to 12 or maybe even infinite dimensions of of matter or expression. And it's like it's a really interesting thought for sure. And he did it. It was an interesting perspective that he had towards the end about the humans being on pause compared to where we've been in past times. And maybe in some aspects, we've been on pause in some aspects, but in other aspects, we have accelerated dramatically. So it's like there's kind of a give and take there. Him talking about gravity not being what you think it is too. That's a really interesting. He talking about how essentially the powers that be essentially discovered magic almost. Like actually, Elon made a post on X recently where the comment was at a certain point, and a significant level of magic is indistinguishable from science. But I was looking at it and I was like, that's usually flipped. And I was like, maybe that was the point that Elon worded it that way specifically. That once you reach a certain level of advanced science, it's indistinguishable from magic. Just kind of a cool thought. I like I was talking about earlier, the technology that the military has or the government has, usually like 30 or 40 years more advanced than what we even know about.
Right.
So it's like you take a cell phone to somebody in the 1800s and you show them it, they're going to think you're a sorcerer, you're a wizard, you're a witch,
you'll be hung or burned.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, that pulled my groin. You actually I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, that didn't make much sense when he said that. The whole on that video, he was discredited when he said you do not age in a vacuum. Nope. Those at the space station in a vacuum space, but contained do age. Well, there's some interesting stuff of the way that there's I guess I could say there's artificial gravity, but that doesn't mean that they're not in a vacuum. I guess I don't know. I don't know how the physics of that works, because you're technically not in the vacuum of space when you're in the International Space Station. There's some semblance of control there. So that's an interesting thought. I would need to read a little bit more into that when he's talking about the vacuum, because it's interesting if there's nothing present in the vacuum, because that's what he was talking about. If there's nothing present in the vacuum, then how can you measure time in a space where there is no matter? I think that's kind of what he was saying. So that's kind of just an interesting thing to get you thinking. Kind of interesting stuff there. I don't know how. Okay, someone was mentioning getting rid of the bot. I don't know how to get rid of the bot. I clicked on the username of the bot, and in Rumble it pulls up the page. But I would have to go, I think, into. I would need to find that username in my account settings and then find it and block it, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you could do it in the studio. I think you have to go on the account side.
Yeah. So I'll probably find it later. I'll take I'll probably get a screenshot or write it. I'll take a picture of the damn thing and just
MKJ5466. MKJ5466.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get him later. But I don't know. That is one thing that I wish there was a little bit more control in Rumble Studio, and I wish the live chat in Rumble Studio looked a little bit more like it does on the app. But anyways, well, anyways, all my my Komatsus and Killdozers. That I think we're gonna go ahead and probably wrap up episode 23 of the Dozer Den. I do have a locals account, the dozerden.locals.com. We've got a few people hanging out there, and I do post every now and then. I usually just post stream updates. I will post memes and things that I find interesting every now and then in there. And once I figure out how to get a live stream going there, I might actually leave a live chat open on a regular basis so that people can hang out. Haven't quite figured that out yet. Still trying to figure out the whole Stripe thing, and apparently I got a payment at some point. Thank you to whoever sent me a payment. It was like $12. I appreciate the heck out of you. But we're gonna go ahead and get that figured out. And if you haven't followed this channel here, follow me here, Bulldozer74. If you haven't checked out Sully's channels, you got the Gun Club on Rumble, and then Real Hard Truths. Worth
check us out. Come on over. I try to do a live stream on each one about once a week, just depending on what's going on, covering all sorts of topics. Right now, due to the tech situation here, I'm a little bit slow, but definitely going to be doing some more. I've got some interesting stuff I'm working on, and I'm definitely going to be doing some stuff on the Real Hard Truths about just personal preparedness, family preparedness, things to think about as someone who's been on the front end of it and seen it. And, it bugs me when I get out there on these calls and it's like, you could have been ready for this. A tornado, you never know when it's going to happen. A hurricane, you got 5 days, generally.
Yeah. I see we had a $1 Rumble rant coming in, sliding in at the end with Slyant. Just simply Dozer.
Always wonderful.
Oh, and another one.
Thank you,
Just
Slyant.
another $1 Sully. Profound Slyant. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being a Chad and donating a little bit here to the Dozer Den. Excellent stuff, sir. Excellent stuff. Yeah, let's see. And then 3 dots appear. So it looks like apparently on the Rumble app, you can hit on the bot's name. Ooh. And I'm going to actually try that right now. You gave me a tip. Oh, darn it. Just a sec. JJR saying that you can, in the Rumble app, you can click on the person on the bot's username. And
good night, biggest life. You get some rest.
Yeah, thank you so much for hanging out, guys. To all the people that hang out, if you haven't liked the stream yet, smash that like button. Follow the channel. Follow me on X. We are at 2150 now, I think, something like that. Yeah. So great to see the growth there, and I think we had over 300 people watching on X. So
I know on Rumble when I was trying to log back in, it said you had like 450 views on this one.
Awesome.
So
awesome stuff, guys.
Good stuff, and we appreciate the support.
Heck yeah.
I'll say as a small, upstart creator that, we ain't doing it for the money. I can promise you that. We're doing it for the love of it, the enjoyment, and the fun of hanging out and doing this stuff.
Okay. Heck yeah. That's the biggest thing is, you know what? I've been interested in this stuff since I was younger. So ever since I was probably 14 or 15, I've been interested in this type of thing. So this is, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy hanging out with you guys in the chat. You guys make this show possible. You make it great. You make me want to keep coming back each week. And you got me even to the point where I think I'm probably going to start doing a second stream during the week, maybe on Sundays, maybe on Mondays. I'm not quite sure exactly what day we're going to do yet, but I have heard people say that they would definitely appreciate another episode of the Dozer Den weekly. So that is in the works. I just got to figure out exactly what time and what day I'm going to do it. But anyways, Sully and I are going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us for nearly 4 hours. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Y'all have
look at it this way. At least you didn't go 3 hours. You went 4. So
that's right. That's right. All righty. Well, you guys have yourselves a good one. I will see you all. If not on Sunday or Monday, I will see y'all next Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Central. Y'all have a good one.